today. I am trying like this little like countdown thing for the first time. So I don't know if it worked or not, but maybe it did, maybe it didn't. So I'm probably not gonna sign a whole lot today because my hand, I'm experiencing pain on my hand, wrist, and like I don't know, my arm, I guess. I get like, not my upper arm, but like specifically right here. But I'm forgetting what this part of my arm is called. Uh, anyway, but yeah, so like it's hard for me to sign right now, but so like, I probably like will sign a little bit because of the topic, but yeah, anyway, so, and honestly, I don't, you know what, that's a different discussion, but I feel like there's just a lot of like pressure on deaf people for how much sign we know, but 90 uh 90% um of deaf people don't grow up signing, so that's a thing. um but yeah, fucking, and I will show you where to find the sources on everything that I'm talking about today, also. So, what we will be talking about is an issue with a conflict that came to my attention between Mumi Starr and Autumn Thomas. Um, so today we're going to talk about that. And first, I will show you how the issue started, and then we will look over what became public about it, if that makes sense, on social profiles. So yeah, fucking, and then I'm gonna show you some material that I put out before for where you can find sources on what I'm speaking on deafness, and material that we covered before about this, and then we'll look at some examples of problematic interpreters, and we will then discuss this different situation to end it out, because it's like a hard thing for me to cover mentally. And so, because it's really triggering for me, I'm going to end it by thinking about something else before I get off the live stream. And we're going to talk and look at this restaurant situation where I feel like staff member wasn't treated well. So, yeah, fucking, I'm going to roll my intro and then we're going to start this bitch. Hi, my name is Lexi, aka Deaf Child. I'm born deaf, hard of hearing. My team was one of the top teams between 2020 and 2024 in New Orleans and Louisiana. I began doing business as Deaf Child in 2013, marketing 2011, and sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales, and I have my Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. So yeah, first we're just gonna address how everything started. And I was given permission to show some Facebook messages and screenshots, as well as content from Mumi Starr's personal page, as well as Mumi Starr's friend who, oh my God, we're going to look at their name, but I forgot their name. I'm so sorry. Shit. Yes, I forgot their name, but we're going to look at somebody else's profile too. And fucking, and yeah, so that's how we're gonna start just this section here. Oh, thank you, Augusto. Good to see you. Glad you're here. I appreciate you. Fucking, yeah. that makes me, sometimes I don't feel like I'm working hard enough. So, someone being like, you got a lot of accomplishments really makes me feel good. I really appreciate that. And I closed my second client yesterday that I have on retainer right now. So, kind of excited about that for me right now. And then my other client, you know what? I don't want to jinx anything, so I don't want to discuss it until it happens. But there's a deal on the table potentially and some other leads in the pipeline there. So we're hoping some things work out. I'm gonna wait until the everything's signed to celebrate it though. But um yeah, fucking okay. So fucking no, but that makes me feel good because like being deaf in a hearing world is very difficult, and the reason I started my business is because like I didn't have access generally on work, and so that's how I got access. You know what I'm saying? And so that's also why this topic is very important to me. Like, I literally have my Bachelor of Science in Music Industry Studies, okay? And the reason I study music and love music and have been involved in music, like, basically my whole life, but professionally, like, and competitively since I was 11. Um, and fucking I I fucking for me it was a way to understand sound in order to discuss how my mind processes sound. And it was a way for me to better advocate for myself because the more you learn about music, the more I'm able to discuss what I can and can't hear. Because when you look at the audiogram, what you see are, I'll have to do a different live stream about this topic. So I'm about to get way off. I apologize. I'm going to try to sum this up though. When you look on audiogram, it measures how loud the tones are where you are become deaf at, as well as not only the volume, but sound happens. It doesn't happen in one place. It has a space from pitches, and pitches is frequency, and that can go from high to low. And it's like if you look on a piano key and you go from one end to the other, on the left is the low notes, on the right is the high notes. And when you play on the low notes, there's a bigger vibration and you feel a deeper rumble because the lower the note, the bigger the vibration, and the higher the note, the smaller the vibration. But so the bigger the vibration, the lower and slower the vibration is, and the higher the vibration, the faster it is. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my hands. I feel like SpongeBob. My bad, y'all, bruh. Fucking, but so understanding the way sound works helped me understand and how to discuss what I can and can't hear because people will invalidate deaf people if we can speak or if we're hard of hearing. But the whole point, if you're labeled as hard of hearing, is that you can't fucking understand speech. You go back to my audiogram, go back to the introduction, and you pause. It explains that, okay? And so fucking, if you're hard of hearing, you literally struggle with communicating, right? Yeah, dude. I'm over here like this dude a wave. SpongeBob. I'm sorry. I'm back at it again. Okay, fucking damn, Daniels. And I haven't even covered the fucking post yet. I'm getting way off topic. Or am I on topic? I'm either right where I need to be or my bad. But here we go. So, move. Ow, fuck. I just hit my fucking elbow. God damn it. Shit. Fuck. Okay, so, Mumi Starr, posted to the hearers that think we can't sign music. Um, and it was a reshare of another post from Mumi Starr from June. Um, and it's, and it was about how she can sign and interpret music. Right. Augusto said that Augusto was also deaf as well. And Augusto is much better at signing than me. And so he there in the comments saying, I use Wavelength to edit music. Awesome. So there's a lot of deaf in music. I make music. I love making music. I like to sing and I write my own songs. And fucking like, and then whenever I do my Alexander Graham Bell live series, like during the segment when I pause and it goes, "What the hell, Alexander Graham Bell?" Um, that's me. So fucking things like that, right? So I'm gonna just make sure it's not somebody related to their information I'm sharing that contacted me. My phone just vibrated. Okay. Yes. Just checking. Oh shit, I forgot to inform her that I was live. Uh, uh, I don't want to pull her up on the screen here. Okay, I'm just gonna inform her that I'm live now. Okay. My bad. I apologize for being on my phone. I just wanted to make sure because I'm using some people's content. I got their consent to use it, and I didn't want to. I just like now that I'm starting it, I wanted to make sure that the vibration I got wasn't to tell me not to use something. You know what I'm saying? I was like, wait a minute. Okay, no, but I'm good. I didn't mean to be like like unfocused, uh, as I am. But anyway, so there is a very big common misconception, and I forgot to link to this before, but I'll go back and link to this after when I'm doing my timestamps and everything. Um, People have asked me before about my ability to perform in music or to dance and things like that and how to understand sound. So there's a big misconception or why like people don't understand why we choose to learn music, and I've even gotten into arguments before with hearing people trying to tell me I should stop working in the music industry because it's not safe for me because I'm deaf. And I'm just like, but I'm the one used to being able to function without hearing. You're the one all fucking confused because you can't speak. Meanwhile, I'm signing with my team, so suck my dick, right? Um, so fucking there's like things like that. There's like a lot of misconceptions. So Mumi was having this conversation and this uh reflection about hearing people thinking we can't sign music with a lot of people, not just one person, right? But in my opinion, hit dogs will always holler so we can see what happens next because there's no one specifically mentioned in this post. So in my opinion, it's like if you don't agree, dance, show an example. You haven't seen me dance, just curious. Well, I used to be on a dance team, but that I ended that for trauma reasons, like which I don't want to like get into, but SA reasons, I stopped that dance being on that dance team. But and I was on a dance team in middle school, and fucking I used to just I love going to shows and dancing. It used to be my favorite thing in the world. And fucking I don't know, just I love dancing in general. I used to dance in Mardi Gras parades. I will do a different live stream about showing me dance or something. There is a video. I think if there's a available playlist on my YouTube channel, the Bitches in the River playlist, I think that one has me dancing that. I don't know how appropriate it is of me to have even in hindsight, I don't know if it's like centering any of that content was centering. At the time I made that content, I didn't have much of like any type of following anywhere I put it. And so I only made it to share it with like some friends and value alignment. But then like in hindsight, now I don't know if that's centering or not. But there's a Bitches in the River playlist, and when you go watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, fucking so what happened next was and this is a video where Mumi Starr is signing to a song. Um Sign up for Dancing with the Stars. Nah, I'm good. I did not want to be on a reality TV show. No, thank you. But fucking the so Mumi Star said to the hearers that think we can't sign music, and she showed herself signing. And no one mentioned Autumn Thomas. So I don't know why Autumn Thomas is commenting this. Like, unless Autumn Thomas actually feels this way, like this isn't about you specifically, but if you feel like it is and you want to, take that, then that says something about you. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion. Okay, now, Autumn Thomas said, did I ever say that you can't? No, please learn how to have a conversation like an adult. You're pathetic. Um, so right here, Mumi Starr is saying that she's not talking about them. So Mumi Starr says, Autumn Thomas, what's pathetic is you can't have a conversation without name calling because Autumn Thomas said that called her pathetic first. So Mumi Starr was just, holding up that reflection, holding up that mirror, dishing it right back. And then basically, yeah, I mean, I could basically say don't know how to read properly because that's like where were they, because what? Um, Now, it turned out Autumn Thomas and Mumi Starr were having a different conversation somewhere else, but we're not going to talk about that right now. This is entirely out of context of that. This is about deaf issues, okay? And even if it were about you and you were not named, if you were actually supporting deaf issues, why would you come degrade a deaf person for advocating for themselves instead of supporting the deaf person? That's what an advocate does. This is discrimination. Calling a deaf person pathetic, taking something that, when we're talking about the issues we face, from what hearing people we deal with hearing people personally, and you take it personally, you're not the one triggered by this. Hearing people have no trauma related to deaf issues. Only deaf people have trauma related to deaf issues. It's not your trauma, it's ours. And so when you're going to go attack someone for expressing on our own triggers and trauma, on the discrimination and oppression we face. Say, I don't know what happened on the other post that they were having another conversation on. I just know that another conversation was occurring, which is what leads us to believe in hindsight that Autumn Thomas may have just associated that with her. But even if that were the case, you should understand. I don't know, did I just misgender Autumn Thomas? Autumn Thomas is they, them, non-binary. I apologize. Did I? Because even though you could, yeah, okay. Autumn Thomas is they, them, non-binary. Yeah, Augusto said that they are surely ignorant, uneducated, and likely avoid those things. But yeah, there are people like that. I agree. So, Autumn should understand that even if there was a misunderstanding about that somewhere else, us deaf actually have trauma related to this, to facing oppression regarding to access in these spaces. And so even if there was a misunderstanding where we thought, oh, you thought this way, oh, you don't feel this way, we can still have the right to then on our own page be triggered and express our general feeling on this because it's our trauma, our deaf issues, the discrimination we face. For any hearing person to come degrade a deaf person for speaking on our discrimination is oppression and discrimination. You have no relevant opinion on our discrimination. It doesn't impact you. You're not us. If you're not deaf, deaf discrimination doesn't impact you. But yeah, did I read this last line where Mumi Starr said, I didn't say you said I can't, as if you're someone special? In regards to deaf being able to sign music. So yeah, to me, it's just like this type of reaction. It covers hear-splaining, able-splaining. It's extremely problematic. We're going to cover some sources on those concepts later on why this is discrimination. So we'll back that up later in the live stream, and I'll show you where to go find resources on that. But the short answer, if you don't want to wait for all of that, is just to know that this is discrimination against Mumi Starr for being deaf by Autumn Thomas. Now, I understand on a certain level, you could say, well, like, you just accidentally misgendered Autumn. So, like, you need to decolonize too. And I totally get that. I think the difference here could be the intent. And I understand on another level, impact and intent aren't the same, right? Like, just because I accidentally misgender Autumn doesn't excuse the impact that misgendering Autumn is colonial of me, right? And harmful of me, right? It still is. Like, it doesn't negate the harm. Even if I didn't mean to, right? Like, it's still problematic. And so part of decolonizing is for us to be aware of this. So if Autumn saw that and were upset that I accidentally slipped on, I can't remember if I said she or her, I just know I said one of the two by accident, um, then that's justified, right? Like, there's no like, oh, Autumn doesn't get to be upset because I misgendered her. You know what I'm saying? So that's the point of intersectionality, is understanding how, because of traumas, because of triggers, because of oppression, because of discrimination, it's all intertwined. And if you're not trying to care about anti-discrimination for everybody, then it doesn't, like, I mean, on one level, yeah, when we pull our own corners of anti-discrimination threads, then we are doing work because of intersectionality to decolonize generally. But on another level, if you're not working on intersectionality, then you're not really decolonizing yourself. So even if your work on your aspect of anti-discrimination still kind of helps, it's like you yourself aren't progressing. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion. So yeah, fucking um and also context, Mumi Starr had just had surgery regarding seeing this comment and everything like that. So you'll notice that Autumn Thomas commented one day basically before. Augusto said, when it comes to studying deaf culture, you learn the discrimination history behind it, but as far as I know, there hasn't been a course to deal with or handle a situation. And then it cuts off by, because of, I'm assuming the character limit, but I'm assuming that you said, like, you're going to say like this or said like this. But, you know what? You're probably right. Maybe I should make one and it'll be free. So, and I'll use these videos and then do quizzes at the end. So that's a good idea. I'm gonna do a free online course on deaf discrimination. That's a great idea, Augusto. Back in. So, yeah. Um, and so Mimi also said, "Oh, you can't read, I see, but you won't call your mistake. Explain why I came to my why." I think Mumi typed I, but I think that Mumi accidentally meant to type you. You came to my video thinking it's for you. Did you say I can't sign music? Dead emoji. No, but dude, I was arguing with. It says with did. I'm assuming she went to type someone that did. And many others. This isn't for you, but here you are chiming in. You made the mistake. I was over our discussion. I even stopped responding to you. Don't need to. And then Adam Thomas said, anyway, you're getting blocked. I hope you have this much ambition in your real life as you do on this little blue app. Now, excuse me while I go interpret in real life. Kiss emoji. And you see how she's kind of degrading Mumi in that way? And the only single thing that Mumi did was say to the hearies that think we can't sign music. And look how aggressive Autumn attacks her for that. That is discrimination. There's no, it doesn't matter if, oh, you're mad at Mumi for a different reason, so now you're just gonna take that frustration out of her. You need to realize, even if that were the case, that doesn't justify discrimination. Oh, you think that would be a great idea? I appreciate you. Okay, awesome. Fucking right, man. Um, fucking, but yeah. And the way that Autumn brings up interpreting into this kind of is a little bit alarming in my opinion, because interpreting is a very sacred role. You It's a very vulnerable role for deaf people. You are in charge of our access in society. There's an extreme power imbalance there. And so to be throwing the power imbalance of the dynamic you have over deaf access in the face of a deaf person, after degrading a deaf person for speaking out on deaf access in the music industry, very much disturbs me, because it reminds me of a lot of issues I faced myself getting into the music industry being a deaf person. And I do want to talk about that, but there's so much I want to cover in this live stream that I'm going to have to do a different live stream on that, because I don't want to derail completely. Um, and Mumi Starr said, you can't admit you wrong, but yeah, take yourself out. Yep, yes, absolutely. And let's see there. I got some more messages after that, so let's double check we got all of them. Okay, so Autumn said, then made a post for friends only, that became made available to us thanks to somebody screenshotting, saying, I do not know who Mumi Starr is, but I know she better ask about me and what I stand for. Don't let one comment go to your head and make you think that you know me. I assure you will be humbled. And I say this with the utmost respect. Don't go twisting my words, trying to make me look bad. I said what I said. Quote correctly or don't quote me at all. I just want to make it clear here. We referenced there was another discussion between those two, which is what leads us to believe the comments were left. That's the only reason we could think of for Autumn leaving those comments there. But I'm not trying to put words in Autumn's mouth or any justification or motive into Autumn's head. We were just saying that's the only reason we could logically conclude as to Autumn would even remotely think that the post had anything to do with Autumn. But in my opinion, whether or not the post was about Autumn, Autumn's name was not mentioned here. So for Autumn to come with the commentary that Autumn left here and then make, I apologize. We're gonna go to their next. I clicked on the wrong button, and then to make after that make this post after she goes attacking Mumi for advocating on deaf rights in the music industry. And to go from that to that, I don't know what happened on the original post. I'm not putting any words in anybody's mouth, but I'm just saying this quote correctly or don't quote me at all line right here, after right here leaving this comment where it says, did I ever say you can't? Please learn how to have a conversation like an adult. You're pathetic. That does lead me to believe those two are connected. I have no evidence to connect those two dots beyond the two screenshots we see here. So that's up for you to make your own decisions. I'm not saying that is fact. I'm just saying my opinion based on my observation of this occurrence. Oh, Augusto said, quote unquote, while I go interpret in real life, I can tell either they're lying because those words cause interpreter does have deaf culture knowledge. I mean, should know and respect it. Right. Well, Augusto, you're gonna wait till you see what happens next in a minute. Hold up, because the next things that that Autumn say will really blow your mind. Like, or they blew my mind. Yeah, or they made me lose my mind a little bit. You're gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Is it appropriate for me to sing that song? Um, so yeah, there are just I need to reflect further on why this post upset me so much, but there's just something about it that I feel is degrading to Mumi Starr, and I feel that the only reason that we understand, like the only reason, like what is there's No reason, in my opinion, for this to be the response to this, if that is the case. I'm not saying it is. I don't know if this is a direct response to this, but if it is, that is extremely problematic. Um, so that's all I can marinate on for you. Fucking and to think that you can the whole hearing when I'm hearing people are like, I said what I said about deaf issues, that's always discrimination in my opinion. Like, what do you think you have to say on deafness? You don't know anything about deafness, you're not deaf, you know what I mean? um if you don't have any deaf lived experience, you have no relevant opinion to have on deaf issues. You don't know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? And here's my thing. I am multi-generational deaf, okay? But I'm sensonaural deaf. However, it doesn't occur in every single member of my family. My brother is hearing. Actually, I think my brother might be late deaf, but my twin sister is hearing. My little sister is hearing. My dad's deaf. Mom's hearing. I've got deaf grandparents on both sides, deaf cousins on both sides, deaf great grandparents both sides, and it goes down. Like, I've got a lot of hearing and deaf family members intermixed on both sides. In fact, deafness and twins run on both sides of my family. Um, so there's, you know what I'm saying? I got experience with this, and I'm letting y'all know, like, the relationship you're gonna have. Like, a coda does not know what it's like to be a PODA, for example. Very different lived experience. A parent of a deaf adult has no idea what it's like to be a child of a deaf adult, is what I'm telling you. Those are very different lived experiences. A deaf person and a child of a deaf, I'm a child of a deaf adult and a deaf person. And, so I'm a bit weird, right? Because I do have those lived experiences. Um, so, but not everybody does. If you don't have a lived experience, you can't speak on an experience you don't have. Fucking. So, deaf people speaking on our experience, if you feel that is relevant to things that you're saying, you need to reflect on that. That's a you issue, not a deaf person issue. And a hearing person tagging a deaf person to degrade them on deaf issues is just always going to be discrimination, in my opinion. And we're going to look over definitions on that later. So, yeah. Um, somebody said on that post, tell them. And Mumi said, tell me nothing. How she going around telling deaf people how they should have access to music? No, we get to say how we want our access, not no damn hearing person who don't have our struggles. Fuck out of here. Because at this point, Mumi didn't realize that maybe Autumn thought this was about this other conversation. Mumi had only seen Autumn degrade her on her post about hearing not signing music and thinking we can't sign music. And it's a pure reaction to what Autumn said on this post alone. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then Mumi said, shut the fuck up. You're not acting hard. What about you're gonna move me? I said what I said, and you don't get to tell a deaf person how they want access. You are here. You stay in your damn place. Come humble me. Exactly. Right? And for hearing people to think deaf people need to be humbled for discussing our access in this society rubs me the wrong way. It's extremely problematic. Um, so yeah. And then J.R. Scarlett said interpreters work tirelessly towards their next goal, but let's be real, they're probably just chasing after the next big paycheck. I feel you. Autumn Thomas said, everyone that works is chasing a paycheck. Hello, we're in America. Oh, she said, they said we're in America, then hello. I misgendered Autumn for the second time here. Very colonial of me. My default is to go to she, her pronouns. That is very colonial of me. I recognize that. Decolonizing doesn't change the impact. Still very harmful. Need to do better. Trying to do better. Change takes time. And I understand when someone struggles with they need to decolonize and they're struggling with doing that versus when someone seems to be, in my opinion, using words that do come off as maliciously, intentionally degrading someone for being deaf and for their culture. And even if, in my opinion, say Autumn has the quote unquote excuse that they thought that this was about them and that this was about this other thing or other post or something, even as I said at the beginning, you need to understand these are triggers and traumas for deaf people. So for to go after a deaf person for talking about our lived experience on our trauma this way, it's just so harmful and oppressive. It's discrimination. It's anti-deaf. And it shows you really haven't done much work to be supportive of deaf community. Um, so yeah, I really hope you work on being more deaf friendly, on caring more about deaf rights, deaf issues. Um, so yeah, fucking Autumn said, I love how you deleted your comment, but I also like how I screenshot them. So we're gonna come back to this. I shared a map that we'll come back to with Mumi Starr. So yeah. Fucking and then yesterday, Autumn Thomas made a public post that states, being an interpreter that was raised in the deaf world, I understand that my opinions might be strong. They might not be the standard. And I can admit sometimes my opinions are wrong. And that's why I ask questions. I need deaf people to understand that sometimes as allies, we need to ask questions to make sure that we understand their perspective. Even though I was raised by deaf, I am not deaf. I have to ask questions to understand. I'm sorry if my questions seem offensive or oppressive or that I don't recognize my privilege. But what Mumi Starr is not going to do is twist my words to make it seem like I'm not who I am. You do not scare me. I'm the queen of I said what I said. Nobody puts fear into my heart. I accept criticism very well, but not from people who are talking out of their ass mosquitoing me. Like I said, post whatever, then tag me. Let's talk about it. Actually, don't tag me no more. I've checked out of the conversation. If you've checked out of the conversation on this issue, it shows me you're not taking accountability for the harm you cause in deaf community. It shows you don't care about deaf issues, and wow. So by request, Autumn has not been tagged and will not be tagged in anything I post about Autumn. By request, as Autumn has checked out of the conversation. Now, when you say my opinions might be strong, not the standard, maybe the whole asking questions thing was about the original conversation, but I'm not, because I don't have access to that, I'm not speaking on that. Here's what we're speaking on. Oh, I think this person's pronouns are they, them, Augusto. But yeah, questions. What questions do they ask? They're more addressing their own words. Right. That's what I was just saying. Like maybe the questions and are fucking regarding, it's so funny to me that they're non-binary. You misgendered them as he, I misgendered them as she. Um so that's not funny. That shouldn't be funny to me. That shouldn't be funny to me, right? I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm like this. I need to work on myself. I'm gonna work, but I just was like, I don't know. Uh, yeah. I shouldn't think that's funny, should I? I don't think it's like funny that they are getting misgendered. I just thought it was funny that we fucked up on the opposite genders of misgendering them. But I don't know if it's okay for me to think that's funny now. Um, anyway, fucking. Oh, My bad. Fucking yes, yes. I understand. I really struggle sometimes. I know the correct pronouns. I want to use the correct pronouns. They should be coming out of my mouth, and then my fucking colonial ass will go default back to the she, her, him, he. I don't. Why am I like this? And I don't want to be like this. So there's, some things, and then it's like I think I've slowly was able to make myself stop saying this one word I didn't want to say anymore, but I don't even want to reference it. But you'll see me in my previous live streams if you watch them. I'll just encourage you to watch my past content. You'll catch me trying to stop saying a word I keep saying, and I don't want to say it anymore because I recently learned the history of it. And I was like, fuck, man, why am I like this? So like decolonizing is a journey. I know, like, I don't think, oh, just because you do one like you slip up, that means you're bad. But how do you feel about the way you fuck up, right? How you react after you do, like, because I know part of decolonizing and part of like working on anti-discrimination is that we are perpetually discriminating and we have to. So how you respond to that, to me, says all there is to really say about you. And that is the way Mumi, not the way Mumi advocates for herself, I'm very proud of. The way that Adam responds to Mumi is very disappointing to see. And I really hope Adam issues an apology to Mumi. I hope Adam issues an apology to all deaf people for speaking on deaf issues this way and for speaking over a deaf person and about deaf person on deaf issues this way. Like, this is just so problematic, dude. And yeah, fucking and for me, there's like this level of hatred and vitriol, and it's like, okay, say that came from an out of context conversation, still, ugh. All right, and so let's address raised in the deaf world. I understand that on a certain level, if you're a coda, you've got some deaf culture in terms of, if particularly if it's your first language, you've got fluency in sign language. And it's actually statistically rare to be a hearing person with fluency in sign language at that level from deaf culture being born into it, not from being an interpreter later in life. Um, and fucking so that's why it's even more disappointing. No, I'm not out of context. I'm reacting right to what she's saying. I'm reacting to this first line right here. I'm back on track. Pay attention, Augusta. I'm just kidding. Fucking. Um, but yeah, no. For me, if it comes off as tokenizing your relationships to deaf people, and that doesn't have any relevancy to the issue at hand, because regardless of the fact that you can claim sign language as a native language potentially if that was your first language, or you could claim a cultural connection to your deaf family through the sign language, for sure. And you've got your lived experience. Codas and hearing people have a role in our deaf community. But the thing is, um, deaf hearing people aren't. You have a role in deaf community. You're connected to deaf community. But if you're not deaf, you're not deaf community yourself. Deaf people are the deaf community. Do you understand? So you can be connected to deaf community, but if you're not deaf, you're not deaf community yourself. You're just part of deaf community. You have a role in deaf community. You are part of deaf community. You may have been brought up in deaf culture or may not have been, but if you're not deaf, in my opinion. Augusto Lazo said, but anyway, I really want to know if she is a real interpreter for sure, because it's concerning. I believe she may be, Augusto. God damn it, I just fucking did it again. I think that's the third time I misgendered them in this live stream. I'm very disappointed in myself. Very fucking disappointed. They, them are their fucking pronouns. And that speaks to me on my decolonizing. I need to really work on myself on that. And that really shows who I am, right? Okay. So, fucking, but yeah, let's keep working on this. So, when they're talking about their opinions might be strong, but when all we can really see here is your opinion, where you are literally, and it doesn't even, I don't even care where, if you were, say you were asking politely about, these issues, you need to understand you're asking deaf people to educate you on our trauma because you don't experience it. You know what I'm saying? So you don't get to tone police how deaf people inform you of our trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are an advocate or a supporter, part of what you need to understand is you're never going to understand what it is to be deaf. That's why you should stop trying to speak over deaf people, because you don't have any relevant understanding of what you're speaking on. You know what I'm saying? Um, Now, as allies, Autumn, you do not get to decide if you're an ally to a community you're not a part of. Now, or a member of, I should say. When I say there's a difference between being a member of deaf community and a part of deaf community, because hearing people have a role to play with us, but you're not one of us. So that wording in my head can be confusing, the difference, when I speak on it. And that also ties to language fluency and language deprivation. Now, Autumn, in my opinion, is not an ally to deaf people or deaf community based on how Mumi was treated just for speaking generally about deaf issues. Um, Only deaf people can decide who are allies to them. Only your individual deaf friends or individual deaf family members can decide whether or not you're an ally to them. You can't declare yourself deaf ally generally. You can talk about how you want to be a better ally to your deaf people that you know. But anytime someone calls himself an ally, I get a red flag, because to me it feels performative. Like, you can't decide you're a safe space for someone you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And it takes away autonomy. People get to decide who's safe for them. People need to declare you a safe space before you accept that title or role. You don't get to determine that. That takes away autonomy. Augusto Lazo said, raised by deaf. Really? If that would be the case, then you wouldn't have this problem. Oh, that's another lie. I feel like she's not what she thinks she is. Again, they, them. Um, I don't know if they're lying or not. I don't know anything about their life story. I'm going to take this at face value as if they are telling the truth. I understand how what they're saying is so contradictory to deaf culture, and deaf, how deaf people move in deaf community, that that what they're saying feels like a lie. I can understand that. But yeah, I think that they might be telling the truth and that they really feel this way, and that it's what concerns me even more. And then they were saying that they need to ask questions to make sure that they understand their perspective. You can't understand what it's like to live an experience you don't have. You're never going to understand what it's like to be deaf. So you can't make a deaf person make you understand something that you're never going to understand if you're not deaf. Only deaf people understand what it is to be deaf and understand deafness. You can want to understand, but we don't need to sit there and try and um, make you understand our lived experiences that you'll never have. We can't that's impossible. That's an unrealistic expectation. That's like me as a white person asking my brown native father, my father is an indigenous man. That's like me as a white person asking my indigenous father to tell me I need to understand what it's like to be brown, Dad. That's like me doing that. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, to be honest. And I understand that when you're a white person like me, we are native and we have our indigenous ancestry, right? We have that different social understanding and upbringing into the world. to where we have a hard, like, I had a hard time with the concept that I have a mixed heritage, but I need to remember that I don't, because I don't socially present as native, I experience no racism. I may experience xenophobia, but I experience no racism, right? Um, and me trying to convince someone to, for me to understand that is problematic as shit, because it's like I understand that on certain level, it's my culture, it's my heritage, my ancestry, right? I get that, right? Um, fucking, but on a different level, it's like I have to take into reflection. I'm not socially perceived as native. I don't move through life experiencing the racism my father experiences. But because of indigenous erasure, people don't even see my father as a native man. They look at him and call him the N word. Like, um, fucking, so, oh, that captioner got it wrong. I said, yeah, fucking, so that just takes me back to this, analyzing that, like, questioning, a deaf person under the disguise of wanting to understand a lived experience you'll never have is a form of gaslighting known as sea lining. And whether or not you intend to be sea lining, that is what it is. Intention versus impact. Intention is not the same as impact, right? So just because I don't intend to I keep fucking up with this misgendering thing. I swear to fucking God, that's really how colonial I am. That is not on purpose. I would never do that on purpose. That's me needing to work on myself. So um you know what I'm saying? Like, I get on a certain level fucking intention with impact. Like, just because I am fucking mean to doesn't change the impact of it still being harmful and wrong. And so fucking I want to change that about myself, and I'm really needing to work on that, and I'm gonna try to do way better, but I just know it's not gonna happen in like a second. But it is something that I do try to actively work. Like, the ways right now I try to fix it is every time I see myself slip up on a pronoun, I try to instantly correct it. And I try to make sure that I'm, doing better on that, right? Um, and if the person is there, I can apologize to them. And if they don't have to accept it, if someone doesn't accept me misgendering them, like, that is so valid, right? Like, they don't have to be around someone that's not decolonized enough yet to get the pronouns, right? That's harmful. That would be toxic and oppressive to expect someone to be around that. And I think that it's kind of like it's like with deaf issues, hearing people don't give deaf people this grace where um they don't understand where we, like, when you are questioning us on why is it what you're doing is harmful, for example, um it is gaslighting, because the short answer is that it's harmful. To know further, you'd have to understand deaf history. And that would be a lot of labor. And a lot of it is also about the free demand on deaf labor, when deaf labor is already undervalued. And if you're interpreting and exploiting deaf culture and getting paid off of us, to then, you know what I'm saying? If you're asking deaf people questions, there are several deaf consultants. I'm one. There's K Shauna, KAISHAWNA music on Instagram. I'll try to go link to her after this. Um, fucking Kayshauna. There's I'm pretty sure Bridget from Deaf Family Matters. There's a lot of deaf consultants you can hire. You can hire me, but I'm gonna charge you 300 an hour if you're hearing. Um, fucking so yeah, you can hire a consultant, and you can pay a deaf person for their labor if you have these types of questions. To expect random deaf people to be able to um to provoke random deaf people's traumas and then to antagonize them after, in my opinion, is kind of problematic. And I do feel this statement kind of comes off as Darvo, where you deny, attack, reverse victim offender, in my opinion, because anytime a deaf person is advocating on deaf issues, we are advocating for ourselves. Whenever a hearing person is trying to speak over a deaf person on deafness, that's discrimination. Um, so yeah, fucking, and then even though you apologize to that your questions might seem offensive or oppressive, or you don't recognize your privilege in general, it does kind of come off as ingenuine in relation to how Mumi Starr has been treated, and how there's been no apology issued or amends made to Mumi Starr directly, who was discriminated against. And there's been, seems to be no apology issued to the deaf community specifically for the way in which Autumn invalidated the concept of and was trying to degrade a deaf person about the concept of to hearies that think we can't sign music. And to come argue and say you're pathetic for posting this in general does come off as if you're invalidating Mumi Starr for posting it at all, whether or not you agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, to come do that, it's not okay. Um, and fucking, so yeah, to, I don't know what happened in that other conversation, but all I've seen Mumi Star do in the screenshots and the commentary available to me is literally label the harm and the discrimination for what it is, um, and stand up for herself. The only time Mumi got hurtful was when shots were fired at her. She fired them right back, but she didn't go at that first, in my opinion. They were just fucking talking about deaf issues. Um, I don't. The queen of I said what I said, nobody puts fear into my heart. I don't understand that concept. None of what I saw Mumi say was trying to put fear into Autumn's heart. Anything that I saw Autumn say was a direct response. Anything I saw Mumi say was a direct response to what Autumn said. Um, it doesn't really seem like Autumn accepts criticism. I don't know where or when Mumi Starr ever misquoted Autumn. Autumn was never quoted on this post. So if Autumn felt quoted on this post, to me that is a red flag. Um, so yeah. If you don't want to talk about the harm you're causing deaf people, I definitely question accountability. And to say that you checked out of the conversation after discriminating against a deaf person doesn't really seem like you're accountable, in my opinion. So yeah, fucking Mumi Star posted, hearing people don't talk about me on your page. Talks about a deafie on their page all because she thought my video about her. English not even my first language. Video shows me signing song because dude said we can't because we deaf. Girl, I don't know when did I say you can't. Well, she just made it about her. I can say she didn't say that, but the assumption of her thinking I meant this for her lets me know maybe she thought this then. That's what I thought, so I think that's a reasonable assumption, Mumi. The fuck people stalking on my page or read about the wrong things in life. I agree. Like, in my opinion, like, I absolutely just agree. Like, if there's no reason for Autumn to come on here saying these things. Um, and then Mimi posted, I love when the trash takes themselves out. I don't give a fuck who hearing is friends with that deafy. You wrong, and that's it. Over here saying, I thought Tashina is that supposed to make me crumble. Little girl come to my page and as expected took herself out. Back to healing from surgery. And Kenny Aesthetic said the problem is that hearing who support deaf community but will choose deafy who are audist, AUDIST, and similar opinions based on hearing mine, where the hearing supporting deafy audist, AUDIST, to against an oppression to non-audist deafy. It won't stop unless we destroy the fucking, this is the word I don't want to say anymore because it is oppressive. Mother effer one. I don't want to say that word anymore. Because of the history behind it. And idiot autist people. I think autist is also potentially ableist, but you know what? Idiot. Did I say autist? I meant to say idiot is ableist. God, well, autism is ableism, but okay. So fucking yeah. Allegedly, if this is the truth, then theoretically, it was heard that Autumn went to Sheena, who is a well-known creator in the deaf community, for calling out people who discriminate against deaf community. Um, so if Sheena knew the full story, I highly doubt Sheena would be like, yeah, and you know what I'm saying. Um, so I don't want to apply Kenny's comment to Sheena. I think Kenny's just speaking on general tokenization, frustration. But yeah, fucking, but I can't speak for Sheena either. I don't know how Sheena's gonna handle the situation, how it was handled or not. I just know typically I feel like I'm in value alignment with Sheena, so I would think typically based on that assumption that perhaps Sheena might, if would be on the deaf side, right? Um, So yeah, so Mumi took that screenshot where Adam Thomas said, "Anyway, you're getting blocked. I hope you have this much ambition in your real life as you do in this little blue app. Like, excuse me while I go interpret in real life. Kiss emoji." Mumi put that on her Facebook page and said, "As a hearing person who doesn't care for deaf people who wants deaf interpreters would say." The post was about us wanting deaf interpreters. She told me do something about it when we do, but then rubs on our faces that she's a terp. Go ahead, terp in real life, little girl. But this isn't a good look, you making fun of a deaf woman who gets denied to terp just because she's deaf. Meanwhile, she posts about me on her page lying on me because she's can't admit she's wrong. But yeah, miss, I grew up with the deaf community. This how you treat them though. Mocking me is mocking everyone that signs songs too and is deaf, shaking my head. She shouldn't be a Turk. Now, Sheena was tagged on the post, no response yet. Um, Now, Mimi said, Sheena, she claims she knows you, but this was her attitude with me the whole time. Me who try to fight to Turk but can't. Health problems, but we signed song here. This is basically saying what I do and other deafies do ain't shit because she does it and gets paid. Just saying. Nasreen Drew. Imagine being an interpreter and bragging about it to a deaf woman who wanted to Turk. Jen weirdly said, great, make us all look bad. Jen said, don't worry, she only makes herself look bad. Right. Raven Elaine said, we need more deaf interpreters, and I feel it's a no-brainer to have the deaf terp on the stage. Hearing terp should be feeding if necessary off stage. Teamwork and giving deaf people those roles ensures best match for communication and culture. Both matter. This is a strange behavior from an interpreter, in my opinion. Mumi said exactly. Mumi said not only she say when she dissed on my interpretation to the song on here, I put a description. When hearing people think we can't sign songs, it was to the people that think we are deaf so we can't sign music, and she got mad at me and commented, then tagged me on her page. And I was in surgery when all this was happening to my page. She couldn't admit she was wrong, so she commented this. Raven said, and I agree, hearing terp should feed. Raven, I can't pronounce your last name. Is it Reichik? Said you try to talk about like CDI, deaf interpreter. As for her doing this, this is purely egoistic. I think the word is egotistic, but I understand that English ain't your first language. But I could be wrong on that too. But this tells us she doesn't have any moral compass. That's what the world is lacking of, moral compass. It's sad, really. Raven, Mumi said to Raven, that's what another Duffy told her, and because that Duffy was right, they deleted the comment, but we saved it. I don't think they are Turk to begin with. I never met a Terp who would mock my signing. I never met a Terp who couldn't understand me. This is the first for me. Raven said, that is definitely uncalled for. I guess they want to be childish. Okay, let them go that low. At least you know you are a better person than they will ever be. I agree. So, yeah. And then Mumi posted, hearing girl Autumn spreading false information about my deaf friend just proves about hearing fragility. Stay the fuck out of our deaf issues if you don't want them to learn about it. I'm playing this victim card right now. It looks disgusting. You'll reap what you sow, and I'll make sure of it. Um, I feel like this is just a response to this came after because we've seen this in the order. I tried to pull this up in chronological order, so if it's not in the order, then I made a mistake, but I think it is. Um, so I feel that this is a response to where not Mumi, Autumn had said those things like, I will humble you. I feel like when you get told that by your oppressor, it's very valid to respond with, you're going to reap what you sow, and I'll make sure of it. I think that's valid. I see that as in deaf community, and I think this might even be said in English too, but and deaf people, we say when you point one finger, three point back at you. And so I feel this is Mumi's reminder in a way of that. Like, you're pointing one finger back at me. If you keep pointing that finger back at me, then let me grab your hand and make sure those three are pointing back at you, right? Like, um, Augusta Lazo said, I agree too, but if it interpret, then it should be reported because that ain't right. You know what? I agree, but to be effective, it would only need to be Mumi Starr to report it if because that is who it directly went to. If it was mass reported, it could be perceived as harassment. If Mimi Starr is the only one who reports, but anybody else just backs it up with our own social commentary, to support her with the evidence of the social issue of the discrimination here, then I think it will be more valid. But yeah, I will talk to Mumi Star. I'm gonna look into avenues for that. Fucking and just see, because we can't make Mumi do anything Mumi doesn't want to do. But you know, so Mumi Star also posted a post that said, if you're a coda or a terp or both, this is what you don't do. I don't attack a deaf woman and expect no one to defend her. I don't lie on us, but here's the problem. This could have been over if Autumn Thomas would have accepted she was wrong to assume that my sign video was about her. We had commented our opinion on a different post, and I left that post to have surgery. After my surgery, I see she for hours had made a post about me, all because she stalked my Facebook page and saw a signed video she thought was about her. I don't know her, never met her, and don't care for her. She not that important for me to discuss her on my page. But what I was saying was that hearies think deaf people can't sign music. Autumn never said that to me, so since she thought me saying that was about her, this leads me to believe she believes that herself. That's she's better than us and that we shouldn't sign. Right, because it's like, why would you be so aggressive on that post if you supported it? In my opinion. Um, so, and then I got a message. It is from Mumi. Let's double check that. Uh, um, all right. I'm gonna answer that right after because I don't want to get too unfocused because I would be hyper focused and then silent. So I'm gonna try to bang this out. Mumi, if you see this, you are amazing. You're amazing. I hope you feel better. Um, and don't worry about being here, like no stress. I know this live stream's a bit long. You take the time you need to recover, focus on yourself. Like Mumi Star just went through fucking surgery, y'all. Mumi needs to be healing on her recovering journey. Like it was a big deal. Um, like surgery's a big deal to me. I don't know if surgery's a big deal to you. It's a big deal to me. I'm just saying. Anyway, Okay, so then Mimi Starr said, if she didn't believe my video, would it have made her lash out on me and utter deafness that's defended me? I agree with that. I wouldn't even accept an apology from a corny person like her because to me her behavior needs some professional help. Well, honestly, like we can discuss. Like I understand there's like um with ableism, like with that, but she didn't specifically say that either. So we could point that out. It is an issue to contend with. Other professional help also, like I recommended, would be the deaf consulting in anti-discrimination, particularly for the anti-deafness. Um, so yeah, fucking, and then I pulled up the. I think I pulled it up. Did I pull it up? Let me check here. I apologize. Okay. I wanted to make sure I had this other post pulled up. So then, um, yeah. So Mumi Star had shared this Nasreen Drew post, and we're gonna look at this Nasreen Drew post next. Um, and Mumi said, "I'm sorry how this ended up. She's an evil person that shouldn't be around this. Like she's exactly what Sheena was talking about in that post. Terps that just want to profit from music, signing instead of being feeders." Stephen Anguello said, I don't care if you're a coda or a terp or both. Don't you dare come after deaf people for anything. Know your place. I'm so tired of this, well, I grew up coda, so I know more than you mindset. Respect the people you grew up around and work with. And Mumi Star said, you're another coda I love and respect. Hey. So Nasreen Drew said, Autumn Thomas. So, for clarification, as an interpreter, you will ask the deaf community questions and have an open dialogue, but publicly degrade a deaf person in the same breath? Post? Okay, got it. So, yeah. And then Nasreen also tagged Mumi Starr, Jen Weirley, Ashley Russ, Sarah A. Young Bear Brown. And Mumi Starr and Sarah A. Young Bear Brown are both deaf and native, by the way. Mumi Starr said all she did was lie on me and degrade me. Meanwhile, all because she thought something was about her and it wasn't. Nasreen Drew, she thought me putting my sign song up was about her, so she wrote this on her wall like she something to be threatening me. I better find out who she is, quote unquote. I did, and no one knows her. That's so funny though because it's very much her J Lo moment. Like because it's like when J Lo was going to the house and like everybody was like, "We don't know you." Um. Oh my God, Augusto said, interesting. No offense, but if you become a lawyer, I'll hire you. You seem to know your stuff. I don't think I have the mental stability. Is my captioner working? Why aren't you working? Hold on. I do not have the mental stability to be an attorney. I'm gonna refresh this bitch. Why the fuck did it stop? Alright. This thing sucks ass. Okay, so fucking. Yeah, fucking. Mary Lourdes Gale said this is a lose lose at this point. There's nothing you can say or do to reconcile the situation. And Mimi Starr said because she was wrong and kept going when I left it over a day ago. I had surgery. She made a post about me and now she's not going to threaten me using Sheena Lau's name. No, I fear no one. She tokenized Sheena and her relationship in deaf community, in my opinion. Patronizing me all because she made a mistake thinking my video was about her. And even if it was, she's still in the wrong, in my opinion. She's a fool and full of herself and not getting away with it. She told me I better ask about her. I did, and no one knows her. And in my opinion, I don't know if Mary, where the fuck Mary Lourdes, Mary, who the fuck you are, but what the fuck you mean lose lose? Like, if you mean that this can't be reconciled because of how awful the discrimination that Autumn put onto Mumi was, then I guess I can agree. Like, in terms of there's nothing you can say or do to reconcile this situation. Like, there's nothing Autumn could do to get out of the hole Autumn dug themselves in. But if that's directed to Mumi, we're thinking Mumi needs to do anything different, in my opinion, that's tone policing and oppressive because Mumi did nothing wrong, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, Nasreen Drew tagged Autumn Thomas and said, "Stop tokenizing Sheena Lyles." Um, and Autumn Thomas was saying to someone else, "Nah, you misunderstood. Talk shit. I went to your page and saw your ASL songs suck. Laughing my ass off." Anybody talking like that to somebody else about sign language is extremely problematic, in my opinion. When you understand the cultural eradication and erasure of ASL and how it's connected to indigenous erasure, to literally attack someone like your ASL songs suck because they're asking you to stop discriminating against deaf people is extremely fucking harmful. Um, and Nasreen Drew said, "Yep, definitely envy." And fucking Stephen Anguillo said, "When will people stop tokenizing other people? Do they think by bringing them into a situation they're going to automatically side with them? Especially if you're trying to bring another deaf person into a situation where they are already criticizing and putting down a deaf person. Who do you think they will side with? Come on now. Also, a coda/interpreter saying a deaf person signing sucks is a form of autism. We don't play that game. Not today, Satan." Yes, that is discrimination. You are literally degrading someone for the means in which they are oppressed. We've been oppressed through our cultural erasure. That is so fucking harmful. Bye, Augusto. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great night. Sleep well. And Augusto Lazo is deaf, by the way. Um, fucking. Oh, thank God. I just fucking got a receipt that my one of my orders for a customer that they purchased like 2 weeks ago fucking still hasn't gotten sent out. No, they purchased it July 26th and it's August 14th and it's just now getting sent out. I just now got the confirmation from my supplier that they're sending it and I'm like, whew. But so I need to update on my store that there may be additional delays, I think, or something. Find some better wording. Okay, I think I finished this comment. And so then Mumi said to Steven, "I hated seeing they put Sheena's name over and over." I don't think I saw that, but I also do believe them. Multiple people seem to be backing up this allegation, and I don't believe that they are having a joint hallucination. But if they are, what did you take? I'm just kidding. Fucking. Okay, so Mumi Starr said, I apologize, I just said that here. I feel like Dory today. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Okay. All I felt was okay, and I'm supposed to bow down to the hearing person because they know a famous deafie who I talk to too from time to time. But what got me more upset is when they commented Sheena and her is waiting for the call. Excuse me? We both know that's a lie. Sheena don't care about this bullshit. But to use a deafy name like that to power over me, when I said I had to stop myself from coming out of character, I mean it. I'm in a lot of pain to trying to heal, and this person is trying to lie under a deafy name. Hell no. Not acceptable. Stephen Anguello said to Mumi Starr, "Exactly. We don't do that shit. I would never tokenize any of my deaf friends. Also, Why would I try to bring them into drama that has nothing to do with them? Deaf people already have enough on their plate with dealing with people like this every day. Why add more to it? Right. Mumi said to Stephen, I don't even want an apology from Autumn, but they should apologize to every deafie that offended me that they disrespected and spread misinformation about. Literally started lying on them. This is a clout chasing person at this point. I can see why you will come to that conclusion when someone is utilizing deaf trauma in this way on their social media. Mumi Starr said to Stephen and Guello, you notice Adam say, if you're going to quote me correctly. They talking about my video Me Terp song. The quote not from them, which I made clear, but since they is wrong, they had to make me look bad and make up more things about me. Adulting is admitting you're wrong, which I done many times. No shame to admit. Shameful to run with something and a false narrative just because you can't be adult, admit you're wrong. Stephen Anguello said to Mumi that. And then Mumi said to Stephen, just so you know that they was in already full knowledge that my quote wasn't about them. The problem is now Autumn couldn't take what they already caused back. They couldn't admit they was wrong. My quote had nothing to do with them, but since that shoe fits. Mm-hmm. And Steven said, why can't people ever admit they were wrong and move on? Like, girl, you messed up. Apologize, let it go, and move on. And Mumi said, at this point, she's using me to get clout by us engaging in her. But instead, we, especially me, will just show people about her. I see her ways. She's lying on her page about you and everyone else. It's a clout chaser. And here's my thing. When you discriminate against deaf people, this is a form of violence against us. And in my opinion, it is important for the deaf community just to be aware that this has happened from this person in case they repeat or have a pattern of this behavior, so we know what to expect from this person and can determine whether or not for ourselves this is a safe space for us, because only we can determine who is an ally to us. I don't consider this a deaf safe space or a deaf ally, and that is why I feel it's important. And to, when you look at the harm caused by making fun of deaf sign, by and whenever you're telling a deaf person their sign sucks, that's what that is. And whenever you are making fun of the concept of a deaf person interpreting in music and you're commenting on a deaf person signing video to degrade them, that's what that is, in my opinion. Like, it's just extremely fucking problematic. So yeah, I can come see to why, like, it's like Cloud Chaser is honestly very generous. I consider her extremely, like, oh, there I am. Oh my god. I just said her. They, them. They, them. Holy fuck, dude. I shouldn't. Fuck. I do not want to be doing this. Okay, it's they, them. And that is harmful of me. Working on it. Here's the difference, in my opinion. I'm not sitting here um, if if Autumn were to fucking watch this video and be upset that I misgendered him several times, that is so fucking valid, dude. Like, I would not blame them one bit if they made a post be like, this deaf person tried to call me out, but they kept misgendering me. That's valid. That's so true. I did. I didn't mean to, but that doesn't change the impact. You know what I mean? Um, Things like that. Like, we have to understand, like, that's part of decolonizing and anti-discrimination is to not have a tolerance for it, even within ourselves, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, fucking Kenny posted a meme. I think that am I wrong? Is this Pam from The Office, or why do I think that? That's not Pam. No, it's not. Is it? No, it's not. I don't know who the fuck that is. It's some white bitch in glasses, and a suit. And it's a confused look. And Mumi Starr said, my exact look when I got out of surgery to see what was said about me. And Jonathan said, you're going to have to go on quite a few pages to even get the drift of what's going on, my dude. To Kenny Aesthetic. Johnny Kabusk said that. And to Mumi Starr, me too. I don't know what's happening or going on. Sips coffee. Um, And I think Mumi meant like in terms of why the fuck is there so much aggression? It's uncalled for. Nasreen Drew said to Craig Michael this, and Craig Michael said, "I thank you," and said, "You're welcome." So yeah, that's what happened on Nasreen's post. So this is just what general community is also saying. And Mumi Starr said, "I'm misgendered autumn, not she, it's they. And I don't have to like someone to respect pronouns or gender identity, but I still stand on my ground on what was done to me for no reason." So yeah, oop, I didn't exit out that picture, I did. So yeah, and this is just, and I'm going to just kind of, bring up, you know what? I kind of wish I didn't close out, sorry. I kind of wish I didn't close out the Adam Star apology. Hold on, hold on. I need to leave back some of these to compare. I want to do a comparison. Hold up. Okay. So we want to keep this one. I don't need you anymore. Did I like this? I don't need you anymore. I think I'm gonna keep you. I don't need you anymore. I don't need you anymore. Oh, she liked my stuff. She shared that. I'm gonna go engage with that after because I will get too distracted if I get off on this now. Um, okay. So from here on out, I want to move into. Hold on. Let me make sure I have this all pulled up in the right order. Okay, I don't need this anymore. Hold up. Okay, I don't need this anymore. Alright, I apologize. Um, do I need you? No, I still fuck with you. I still want you. Okay, I'm back. My bad. Alright, so I apologize. I had to do some cleaning up. So in this next section, I really just kind of want to compare what Autumn did here with Alexander Graham Bell. And I think this will be a great way to reflect on patterns of discrimination repeating for deaf people and the history we face with how deaf people take accountability for what they do to us. So, first, what we're going to do is just recap real quick, summarize the three links that I pulled up about the Mumi Starr Autumn Thomas situation. Is that her name? Their name? Fuck, goddamn, god, their name, their name. Okay, fucking. And then we're gonna look at two of Alexander Graham Bell's publications. We're gonna look at some of that material that I did. We're gonna look at some of my commentary on that, and then we're gonna look at a video to some data. And after that, we're just gonna compare. I just want to compare and see what you think. Okay. Um. And just to reiterate, we're kind of transitioning into a new segment here of comparing the situation to Alexander Graham Bell. At this point in time, we've now closed out this chapter and discussed it. All there is to reflect on what occurred with Autumn Thomas. After we compare Autumn Thomas to an Alexander Graham Bell situation, just to see how it's very similar, then I will direct you where to go to find sources on this material so that you can look into the links yourself if you want to know more about the definitions for what I'm saying and why specifically I'm labeling this as discrimination, as tokenizing, as hair-splaining, able-splaining, as autism, and as oppression. So, yeah. Fucking. So first, let me pull up. So if you haven't read Alexander Graham Bell's Upon the Formation of a Deaf Variety of the Human Race is an extremely problematic book. Um, but let's see here. I think we are just going to watch. Hi, and welcome to part. Sorry, it started auto playing. I just there. I think I did a. There it is. We're gonna just watch the summary of the memoir real quick. Appendix. All right, so I'm gonna mute and we're gonna check out this summary. So let's recap the whole fucking book instead. Did they tell you? All right. It's only that's interesting that it's only showing up 3 times here. Oh, that didn't go well. So, chapter 1 is called Upon the Materials for the Formation of a Deaf Variety of the Human Race at Present Existing in America. But for, you know what, let's look at this introduction. So, in the introduction, he's talking about how we can modify human beings. Oh, hey, Bohidi, how you doing? It's good to see you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. This whole thing has been a shitstorm. And so I can't believe it, but we really finished and got through 90 fucking 7 pages. So, yep. And now I'm just gonna summarize the entire fucking thing real quick, and then we're gonna end this bitch. Um, but fucking yeah, in the introductory remarks, this motherfucker is talking about breeding us like animals. I gotta stop saying motherfucker because I recently learned where that word came from and I don't want to keep saying it, but I keep saying it. Okay. So, fucking, yeah, this dipshit is talking about breeding us and comparing us to breeding. And then he's saying basically, like, he doesn't want deaf people to exist, and to what extent is the human race susceptible of variation by selection if animals are. So that was his introduction. Then in chapter 1 is called Upon the Materials for the Formation of a Deaf Variety of the Human Race at Present Existing in America. And this is where he kind of realizes that we all have the same last names and all of that fucking shit. But this is also where he's saying that those who believe that he does would realize that we are like defective and calamitous and bad for the human race and all of that shit. And then in chapter 2 is called Marriages of the Deaf. And in this one, he literally just breaks it down and goes into which deaf are marrying each other and how are they getting married and why are they getting married. And then in chapter 3, he calls it deaf mute offspring of deaf mute marriages. Um, and this fucking shit, he's literally just like, oh shit, deaf people are alive. They actually love each other, and holy fuck, they're having kids. What will we do? What will we do if deaf people just fucking exist? And that's the whole point of chapter 1 through 3. That's kind of the direction he takes it. But then notice that he publishes a letter in which he is saying, in regards to the marriages of deaf mutes with each other, um, there is very great danger, I should say probability, that some of the offspring will be born deaf. What's the fucking danger? What is the danger? Um, I know. Thank you for telling me I'm doing great. This shit is wild. I appreciate you, Bohidi. I'm glad you're here. And dude, oh wait, you haven't even seen. You're gonna see this shit. you haven't even, I don't know if you saw this, but in chapter 5, he's talking about families of deaf mutes. That's whatever. He's doing our fucking family trees again and looking at whether or not someone's congenitally deaf, born deaf, or gets deaf later in life, or hearing, and whether or not they have deaf kids, blah blah blah. And he realizes that most deaf people are born to hearing people, but he still thinks deaf people shouldn't have kids to form a deaf race, which is hypocritical. Like, he contradicts himself. And in chapter 5, he calls that upon the growth of a deaf mute population. And that's literally just, he's showing like all these graphs about deaf people existing and our population size. And he literally says at the end that he needs to compare this to the population at large. And I think he's literally afraid that there might be more deaf than hearing people growing. And then in chapter 6, he fucking calls this shit upon the causes that determine the selection of the deaf by the deaf in marriage. And this fucking shit, dude, it's absurd. So he literally says, hold on. Yeah. Those who believe as I do that the production of a defective race of human beings would be a great calamity to the world will examine carefully the causes that lead to the intermarriages of the deaf with the object of applying a remedy. And that statement is so fucked up. And that's what all academia and what all deafness is um is stems from. The commenter, he even corrected himself by saying, I should say probability, as if he acknowledges his prejudice but doesn't care to make it known. Right! That's another contradiction. He contradicts himself so much in this fucking shit. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Um, and then, bro, this conclusion. In the fucking conclusion, he's basically starts saying, where it at? Oh, before we even get to the conclusion, he's all like, so let's consider what makes deaf people successful. And then he makes a list of what he thinks makes deaf people successful. And then he basically says, um, after all of that, what remedial measures can be taken to lessen or check the tendency of a deaf race, the tendency for the formation of a deaf variety of the human race in America? We shall consider the subject under two heads: repressive, preventative measures. Repressive measures, in that he says, for instance, a law forbidding congenitally deaf persons from intermarrying would go a long way towards checking the evil. And then he basically also says, our search for such measures, preventative measures, we shall be guided by the following principle: determine the causes that promote intermarriage among the deaf and remove them. And then if you look at item number 6 right here, or is it, no, there's two. There's this is this one right here. He says, another and very powerful method of obstructing intercourse with hearing persons and compelling deaf mutes to associate exclusively with one another would be to disseminate throughout the community incorrect ideas concerning the deaf and dumb, so that people should avoid and even fear them. And all this ties into the root of how hearing people control all information on deaf people, and how hearing people don't listen to deaf people when we try to correct hearing people. It all stems from this. most information on deafness is controlled by hearing people. Hearing people, most of what they learn from deafness is from Alexander Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell said in order to obstruct intercourse with hearing and deaf people, we should disseminate throughout the community incorrect ideas concerning the deaf and dumb so that people should avoid and even fear them. What the hell? Alexander Graham Bell. Yep. And fucking, yeah. So then in conclusion, he's talking about the repressive and preventative measures. And then he ends this shit with talking about finances. He's talking about how much money he can make by fucking with deaf people. Which proves like this is all along just about money. This is capitalism. And then he ends this all thing. He says, I showed you guys that deaf people are living, they're successful, they're having a good time, they're alive. And he needs all this, the whole scientific men's attention to counteract the formation of deaf race. He's like, deaf people are surviving. I need everybody to fucking stop it. We've got to stop deaf people from being alive, is what the fuck he was basically saying. And that is the entire fucking memoir in a nutshell. Okay, so that's the summary. That's my summary of Alexander Graham Bell's memoir upon the formation of a deaf variety of the human race. I linked the book club playlist in the description of this live stream. If you go to the book club, I have the link to the memoir I'm reading right here in the description of the video. And so you can go read the whole damn thing and see it word for word if you think my summary is an exaggeration or not. Now, what I want to do is, this is a summary and a recap of Alexander Graham Bell's marriage and address to the deaf. And let's see. So, I definitely want to watch this. Okay. All right. So we're not gonna watch all of that. So what I'm gonna do is just do reading key passages from Alexander Graham Bell's marriage and address to the deaf, discussing context, the hypocrisy, and then the address summed up in one sentence. I'm gonna try to stop when I notice the influence of PR into social issues. You know what? Honestly, we might end up watching this whole thing. I'm lied. Okay, but I think I'm just gonna start, not the whole, we're gonna miss the beginning here. I think I'm just gonna watch from 6 minutes and on. Okay. And I apologize, but I do think, so this is me summarizing a publication of an address that Alexander Graham Bell gave to deaf people at Gallaudet University. And we're going to compare this to Autumn. So let's compare this to Autumn. So initially on Mumi Starr's video, remember this, Autumn's about how hearers think we can't sign music, had nothing to do with Autumn. Autumn immediately said, did I ever say that you can't? No, please learn how to have a conversation like an adult. You're pathetic. And then said Anyway, you're getting blocked. I hope you have this much ambition in your real life as you do on this little blue app. Now, excuse me while I go interpret in real life. So, yeah. And then said, I do not know who Mumi Starr is, but I know she better ask about me and what I stand for. Don't let one comment go to your head and make you think you know me. I assure you will be humbled. When the comment was discrimination, we don't have to know you to know you're discriminating against deaf people. And I say this with the utmost respect. Don't go twisting my words. I would like it to be noted. I've only reacted to the words in front of me. I have not said anyone said anything they didn't say. I've only given my opinion on what was said. I also believe hearing people have no relevant opinion on deaf issues, and I do not accept any hearing thoughts on deaf issues because of they're Alexander Graham Bell's, in my opinion. If you're hearing, that's not your role because you don't have any understanding of deafness. Your role is to support us, in my opinion, because of oppression. We currently live, and we have been living since colonialism, under the context of which hearing, what it looks like when hearing, help us. Okay? So you need to care about deaf autonomy over your input. You know what I'm saying? And that's key for all anti-discrimination. Um, so yeah, fucking Adam would like to be quoted correctly or not quoted at all because Adam said what Adam said. Autumn does not want to be made to look bad. I would like it to be no, I don't want to make Autumn look bad. I do think that Autumn's words make Autumn look bad. I don't think anybody else is making Autumn look bad but Autumn in this scenario, in my opinion. Us talking about the discrimination Autumn did shouldn't be problematic if Autumn is anti-discrimination, right? Like, so, okay, let's watch this bitch. I apologize. Um, You will go out into the great road, the road of hearing and speaking people, a road of people who cannot spell upon their fingers or make signs. Are you prepared for that change, and what is to be your position in that road? I would have you all remember that you yourselves are part of that great road of hearing and speaking people. You are not a race distinct and apart. You must fulfill the duties of life and make your way to honorable positions among hearing and speaking people. I'm going to speed this up to 1.5 speed. Reminder, we are reading the recap from Marriage, An Address to the Deaf, published and given by Alexander Graham Bell to deaf people at Gallaudet. I'm going to go at 1.5 speed. Okay. Then he says, now I have considered what subject I would bring to your attention tonight, the consideration of which would be of assistance to you when you go out into the road. And there is no subject, I am sure, that lies closer to your heart than the subject of marriage. It is a very difficult thing for me to speak to you upon that subject, because I know that an idea has gone forth, and is very generally believed in by the deaf of this country that I want to prevent you from marrying as you choose, and that I have tried to pass a law to interfere with your marriages. But, my friends, it is not true. I have never done such a thing, nor do I intend to. And before I speak upon this subject, I want you distinctly to understand that I have no intention of interfering with your liberty of marriage. You can marry whom you choose, and I hope you will be happy. It is not for me to blame you for marrying to suit yourselves, for you all know that I myself, the son of a deaf mother, have married a deaf wife. I think, however, that it is the duty of every good man and every good woman to remember that children follow marriage, and I am sure that there is no one among the deaf who desires to have this affliction handed down to his children. You all know that I have devoted considerable study and thought to the subject of the inheritance of deafness. And if you will put away prejudice out of your minds and take up my researches relating to the deaf, you will find something that may be of value to you all. It may not be of much importance to you to inquire whether by and by, in 100 years or so, we may have a deaf variety of the human race. That is a matter of great interest to scientific men, but not of special value to you. What you want to know, and what you are interested in, is this: are you yourself liable to have deaf offspring? Now, one value in my researches that you will find is this: that you can gain information that may assure you that you may increase your liability to have deaf offspring or diminish it, according to the way in which you marry. Now, in my researches, I think I have found a surer and more safe guide to those cases that are liable to transmit the defect. My results, however, until verified by other observers, should be received as probable, not only and not certainly proved. So far as I can find out, the hereditary character of the defect in a family is roughly indicated by the proportion of the family who are deaf. This conclusion is exceedingly probable and should therefore be taken as a guide by those who desire to avoid the production of deaf offspring. My statistics are confessedly very imperfect, and many persons have hastily concluded that the results are, therefore, of no value or significance. Now there is a law of heredity that may afford great comfort to many of the deaf, the law of reversion, very strong tendency in offspring to revert to the normal type of the race. Probabilities for your guidance. Whatever may be the character of the deafness in your own case, you will probably diminish your liability to have deaf offspring by marrying a hearing person in whose family there is no deafness, by marrying a deaf person not born deaf who has no deaf relatives, or a hearing person or a hearing brother or sister of such a person. On the other hand, you will probably increase your liability to have deaf offspring by marrying a deaf person not born deaf who has deaf relatives, or a hearing brother or sister of such a person, by marrying a deaf person born deaf who has no deaf relatives, or a hearing brother or sister of such a person, by marrying a deaf person born deaf who has deaf relatives, or a hearing brother or sister of such a person. Of course, I apologize, kept reading. Then he says, until finally the deaf tendency disappears and all the descendants will hear. On the other hand, suppose that the tendency to produce hearing offspring disappears and all the descendants will be deaf. This family would then constitute a deaf variety of the race, in which deaf offspring would be the rule and hearing offspring the exception. Cases will constantly arise in which a proposed marriage will appear undesirable and desirable both at the same time. Of course, I have nothing to say as to what the young people should do. That is a matter for them to decide. I cannot even undertake to advise. Hence, this person, by marrying a congenitally deaf person in whose family deafness is hereditary, will create a liability to have deaf offspring, which would not otherwise exist. From this point of view, the marriage is undesirable. On the other hand, from the point of view of the person born deaf, such a marriage is extremely desirable, for it will diminish the hereditary tendency in his family. Now, I have come before you tonight to show you that there may be something in my researches of benefit to you. I want also to assure you that there is nothing of harm. I want to disabuse your minds entirely of the idea that I intend or desire to interfere with your perfect liberty of choice. I claim the right to advise you as I would advise my own children or any young people in whom I feel an interest. In this matter, my views coincide very closely with those recently expressed by President Gallaudet through the columns of Science. You have to live in a world of hearing and speaking people, and everything that will help you to mingle with hearing and speaking people will promote your welfare and happiness. A hearing partner will wed you to the hearing world and be of inestimable value to you in all the relations of life. Not only will your own success in life be thereby increased, but the welfare of your children will be materially promoted. It is surely to the interest of children, both deaf and hearing, that one of at least of their parents should hear. I would therefore hold before you as the ideal marriage, a marriage with a hearing person. Do not let anyone place in your minds the idea that such a marriage cannot be a happy one. Do not let anyone make you believe that you cannot find a hearing person who will treat you as an equal. The chances are infinitely in your favor that out of the millions of hearing persons in this country, you may be able to find one with whom you may be happy, then that you should find one among the smaller numbers of the deaf. I think this sentiment is hurtful that makes you believe you can only be happy with a deaf companion. That is a mistake, and I believe a grave one. I would have you believe that the welfare of yourself and your children will be greatly promoted by marriage with a hearing partner. If you can find one with whom you can be happy, I hope that you will all dispel from your minds any idea that I intend to interfere with your liberty of marriage. I know that very grave misconceptions of my positions and views have been circulated during the past few years among the deaf. I have before me tonight an audience composed of the brightest and most intelligent minds among the deaf, and I want you to help me in dispelling these ideas. Now, I would impress upon your minds the fact that if you want to do a man justice, you should believe what a man says himself rather than what people say he says. But now I begin to be afraid of you, for you are the interviewers in this case, and I wonder how I shall be reported by you in the newspapers of the deaf. I am talking to you by word of mouth while my friend Professor Frey is translating what I say into the sign language. Then by and by you will translate it all back into English for the benefit of your deaf friends in distant parts. You are the interviewers this time, and I fear you are just as liable to make errors of statement as an ordinary newspaper reporter. I have therefore brought with me tonight a gentleman who has taken a stenographic account of all that I am saying to you. I will look over his notes and correct them, and then it will afford me pleasure to present every member of the literary society with a printed copy of my remarks. Then he says, remoteness of blood is eminently favorable to the production of vigorous offspring. I think I missed something. Did I miss something? No, that's it. Okay, then he says, remoteness of blood is eminently favorable to the production of vigorous offspring, and those deaf persons who have many relatives deaf would greatly diminish their liability to have deaf offspring by marrying persons very remote in blood from themselves. Children, I think, tend to revert to the common ancestors of their parents. If the nearest common ancestors are very far back in the line of ancestry, the children tend to revert to the common type of the race. Deafness and other defects would be most likely to disappear from a family by marriage when a person of different nationality, English, Irish, Scottish, German, Scandinavian, and Russian blood, seems to mingle beneficially with the Anglo-Saxon American, apparently producing increased vigor in the offspring. I trust these suggestions may be of service to our deaf friends. Okay, so I just read to you guys, and try to, in one cohesive unit, just the red flags that I highlighted out of the context of the rest of this article. And if you want to put that back into context, that video is linked below where I read the entire fucking thing and I criticized it all as I went. So if you also want to hear my critique and commentary and reactions to all the bullshit fuckery that I just said to you, that's all there too. Because I was about to say some shit as I was reading it, but then it's just repeating some shit that I already said. So, you know. Okay, so what you notice here is the ways in which he contradicts himself, and those are shown in the exhibits. I do already explain that, but to sum it up, he's talking about how he's trying to tell deaf people, I've never said anything about you guys getting married, but here, let me talk to you about you guys getting married. After writing that memoir upon the formation of a deaf variety of the human race, and there's like entire chapters about deaf marriage and deaf families, and it's all about it, you know? And then he basically pretty much says, yeah, I don't care if you get married. I'm just trying to stop you from having kids, you know, because you don't want more deaf people to exist. That's basically the summary of this entire fucking memoir. You know what the fuck I mean? And he gaslights deaf people in so many different ways. It's not even fucking funny. It's just like, how the hell? And the way he does this is all through marketing strategies as well. And so it also makes you look at the news differently, publications differently, press reporting differently. Um, and thinking about that, it's just one of those things where, you know, people who are oppressed will act like they're the victims. When he's talking about how he's afraid of us or whatever, he's acting like, you know, he basically treats deaf like we don't understand these deaf issues because he's like, these are for scientific men to discuss, not for you. Let me tell you what you care about as if you don't know what you want to care about. You know what I mean? So he speaks down to deaf people as if he knows more than us about us, while basically telling deaf people that if we don't listen to only him about him, you know what I mean? We're not giving him justice. After he got sign language banned at the Milan Conference of 1880. And that would be with education going forward. You know, so I'll have to do like a whole different live on the history of the sign language ban and getting an access to it. And I also kind of think indigenous erasure of sign language should be included in that discussion as well. So I will talk with people on that also. But yeah, I had a point. I apologize. Let me drink my coffee. Yeah, okay. So whenever, you know, he's basically starting this off with all kind of like, you have this idea in your head. You know, he basically had said like an idea had gone forth in the deaf community. Where was it? Oh yeah, it's right here. An idea has gone forth and is very generally believed. And then he kind of basically tries to imply as if the deaf community could be part of spreading it whenever down the road. He's like, well, you're the ones in charge of the deaf reporting, you know? Yeah, all of that. But whenever he's saying this shit, like there's this idea that went forth. And he's calling it a grave misconception, as if he didn't publish the memoir upon the formation of a deaf variety of the human race. And in the last live that this is a follow up to that I was telling you about, I do a comparison between the address and the memoir. So whenever he's on that bullshit fuckery, I'm literally over here just like, take a look, it's in a book, reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Take a look, it's in a book, reading rainbow, reading rainbow. You know, that's how I feel. Anywho, sorry. And then he's over here like, I'm not trying to tell you guys what you should do with your marriage, while giving them like probabilities for your guidance. And then he literally says, I'm not trying to give you advice on your marriage. And then he says, what did he say? I feel entitled or claim? Let me look. He says, yes, he says, I claim the right to advise you. How that, there's so much, all of this is so fucked up, but you know, but he says, I claim the right to advise you, and then he says, I've never tried to interfere with your liberty of marriage. So, is advice interference? What does Google say? Unsolicited advice causes stress. That's interesting. Who would have thought? So, you know what the fuck I mean? Advice can also be seen as interference. So, you see what I mean? In the place he says he's not doing the thing he's doing, like, he's literally doing it. This whole document is him telling on himself. And so the entire point of marriage and the entire summary, here's the TLDR right here. Let me see if I can do it. Let's see if I can bang this out. Marriage and address to the deaf. The entire summary, he gets a bunch of deaf people together after writing an entire memoir about how he wanted to eradicate deaf people and get rid of deaf marriage and disseminate false information about deaf people in order to get people to fear deaf people and avoid them. He also is talking about how deaf people need to be segregated. And we need to breed them out. He says those things. Okay. After that, after he publishes this memoir and he delivers it in 2 different occasions, 8 years later, he gives a speech to the deaf people and he's like, y'all had that shit in your head. I never said or did any of that. I'm scared of you because you're telling people I did that, and I don't know why you would say that because it's not like I ever did that. And, um, fucking, but also, can you please convince other deaf people I didn't do that? And I have a deaf mom and a deaf wife, so of course it's not possible for me to have done that. I'm one of you guys. Yeah, I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your life or your marriage, but if you don't do what I tell you about your marriage and you keep having deaf kids, it's disgusting. That's basically what Alexander Graham Bell said. And then he said, none of these topics are important to you. You don't need to know about any of this. It's just for smarter people to discuss. That's literally basically what he fucking said. That's the summary. That's it. We did the damn thing. You know what I mean? And then one more point, one more thought that I had. So all of this is entirely fucked up. This whole concept of looking at the Anglo-Saxon beneficial blood mix thing. I don't know what words to use that don't sound really fucked up. But that fucked up shit show, he's talking about how if different European nationalities come together, they can breed out deafness. That's not fucking true, dipshit. Me and my family's fucking proof of that. You know how many fucking different nationalities I am? Deafness is genetic on both sides of my family. You know what the fuck I mean? And because my colonizer ass family has been in the United States for over 7 to 8 generations, there's a lot of lineages that I have to go account for. And I always thought I was mostly Irish, but turns out I'm mostly Scottish. Who would have thought? So, I'm Scottish, English, Irish, Welsh, a little Spanish, and some other shit too. A bunch of other shit. Lots of shit. So I think it's interesting because genetically or whatever, if you want to be like, I don't know what word to use about all of this. I'm just trying to make my point and work on using better words in the future as I learn about these things. But fucking your genealogy, like the traits you inherit are from your ancestors the last 6 to 7 generations ago. Well, if my ancestors the last 6 to 7 generations ago have all been up in America, I gotta go back another 6 to 7 generations ago to find out where did my features come from and stuff like that. Um, and where is my background? If you want to think of beyond the settler colonizer identity of your heritage, right? Like, I don't know. Is that right? I don't know if that was, but we're working on that. But my point is, deafness is genetic in my family. We have all, and it's proof that he's fucking wrong. I'm just saying, my family. I am living proof that Alexander Graham Bell is a fucking idiot. All right, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up there before I say something stupid or wrong. Or I don't know. Like I thought I had a point there, but now I don't know if that was a good one. And I feel like I said that before here. But yeah, um, no, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you guys. Just to wrap. So yeah, and then using words like crazy, idiot, stupid, ableism are all ableism that I'm still working on not doing too, but I still do, because it's like a process. Decolonizing is a process. But so that's the recap on the address that he wrote. And so then this takes us back into context of where Autumn Thomas's response on everything was being an interpreter that was raised in the deaf world. I understand that my opinions might be strong, they might not be the standard, and I can admit sometimes my opinions are wrong. And that's why I ask questions. I need deaf people to understand that sometimes as allies we need to ask questions to make sure that we understand their perspective. Even though I was raised by deaf, I am not deaf. I have to ask questions to understand. I'm sorry if my questions seem offensive or oppressive or that I don't recognize my privilege. But what Mumi Starr is not going to do is twist my words to make it seem like I'm not who I am. You do not scare me. I'm the queen of I said what I said. Nobody puts fear into my heart. I accept criticism very well, but not from people who are talking out of their ass misquoting me. Like I said, post whatever, then tag me, let's talk about it. Actually, don't tag me no more, I checked out of the conversation. It kind of seems like you were really never mentally that present in the conversation, in my opinion, or if you were mentally present, I'm not. Then it doesn't seem like you're processing anti-discrimination very well. So yeah, I already did my reaction to this whole thing, but I do want to reiterate that if you're hearing, you're never going to understand deaf perspective because you're not deaf, and trying to force deaf people to talk you to like make you feel better about that isn't okay. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm just that's discrimination. And then whoops, my bad. Let me fucking. Oh, also, I don't remember if I said this at the. You know what? I'll say it at the end. That countdown thing that accidentally hit. I forgot if I addressed that at the beginning of the live stream. It's something new I've been trying. Um, fucking. I am just going to look for that screenshot real quick where just going to look for that screenshot real quick with the where Autumn had told. There it is. And then keep in mind, Autumn Thomas also told a deaf person that their ASL songs suck. And Autumn is a hearing person. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. After Alexander Graham Bell got sign language banned at the Milan Conference of 1880, we were repressed for using it. And that regarding the fact the formation of American Sign Language is based on cultural eradication of native signs. I have no clue what Autumn Thomas's cultural background is, but I do know that Mumi Starr is Taina. Mumi is an indigenous deaf native woman. And I know that being native isn't a monolith, but I can't speak to a broad indigenous perspective to say that before colonialism, well, I can speak to my perspective as a descendant. I don't know if I could speak for all native people, of course, not a monolith, of course. I can't speak for those lived native experiences. That's not what I mean. But what I mean to say is, before colonialism, sign language and speech were used intertwined. The whole separation of speech and sign, that was forced through colonialism, and the development of American Sign Language is based on cultural appropriation and stealing and eradication and exploitation of native signs as well. So for a hearing interpreter to say this to a deaf native woman touches on two genocides that Mumi faces. And una bruja. So yeah, let that marinate as well. Um, and so this is another just summary in regards to what did Alexander Graham Bell have to say for himself. And so I'm going to look at this summary and then we're just going to check out that material one more time.
I was asked what reasons Alexander Graham Bell gave for his terrible points of view on deaf people. I just have time to look at two quick things that I think are very telling. In 1884, Bell published Upon the Formation of a Deaf Variety of the Human Race. He warned that deaf people were forming clubs, socializing with one another, and marrying other deaf people. He thought a deaf race was underway. He said, quote unquote, "Those who believe as I do that the reduction of a defective race of human beings would be a great calamity to the world will examine carefully the causes that lead to the intermarriage of the deaf with the object of applying a remedy." Keep in mind that Alexander Graham Bell fought against deaf marriage and to sterilize deaf people from 1872 to 1883 for sure, and this is documented. Then in 1891, Bell tried to gaslight deaf people, and he was claiming that this idea has gone forth, but no, he never said any of it. Along with trying to convince us we were part of hearing and speaking people.
So yeah, that's the recap. Now. And let's just go put that into context. Una Bruja was told that their ASL songs suck. So Autumn Thomas feels comfortable telling deaf people that their ASL sucks. And that Mumi Starr was on a post where Mumi Starr discussed to the hearings that think we can't sign music. Thomas said, "Did I ever say that you can't? No, please learn how to have a conversation like an adult. You're pathetic." When that wasn't about Autumn at all. It was made clear that wasn't about Autumn. And to react this way is extremely harmful. And then Autumn was literally posting about how being an interpreter that was raised in a deaf road, that their opinions might be strong, they might not be the standard, they can admit their opinions are wrong, and that's why they ask questions. They need deaf people to understand it. Sometimes as allies, we need to ask questions. You know, this whole fucking thing, I'm not gonna fucking reread that again. That whole thing, and Autumn Thomas had also said, I not know who Mumi Starr is, but I know she better ask about me and what I stand for. Don't let one comment go through your head and make you think that you know me. I assure you will be humbled. That really doesn't sit right with me, especially in context of how harmful Autumn Thomas was to Mumi Starr. And then saying, then be like, I say this with the utmost respect when you've been extremely disrespectful, like you've been discriminating against Mumi for being deaf. You've been discriminating against all deaf people. Judging any deaf person for how much sign you do or don't know is discrimination. um Trying to make them look bad. You made yourself look bad, Autumn, with your own words. Said what you said, don't quote correctly or don't quote at all. Well, just letting you know, we've only addressed specifically what we have in front of us. So yeah, I just want to reflect on the comparing and the contrasting there. In both cases, we see connection and proximity to deaf community used to excuse harmful behavior. We In both cases we see hearing people who use that proximity to excuse dismissing deaf people on discrimination and are perpetuating our cultural genocide against us. So, yeah, it's pretty harmful. When you make fun of a deaf person for not knowing sign language, that is perpetuation of cultural genocide. So, I want to talk about now about where we can find some sources on this material. I really think I was going to play from this video, but I don't know if I'm going to. I'm going to look at the timestamps and maybe I'll play part of it. But I don't think I'm going to play it like I had originally planned because this is already a 2-hour live stream. I'm just going to highly recommend you go watch it, and I want to show you in the comments here. If you sort by, you put the newest first. It was already there, my bad. You get the top down. So we have sources here. A lot of this is focused on this concept where there is cultural appropriation. And so a lot of these sources come from that specific conversations I had within the fights about this specific instance of cultural appropriation and exploitation. But we also cover a lot of things that are very relevant to this live stream here. So we cover we cover appropriation of ASL regarding the oppression we face from hearing today. A lot of that is discussed. We also discussed the tokenization of relationships and tokenism. I have sources on that here. As well as on performative activism. We talk about the dictionary, we talk about the definition here. And so, what I want to say is, all of my work that I've done on this past material is why I believe that I can say how I feel, in terms of backing up my sources to where I feel this is discrimination against deaf, this is oppression. This is the research into why I feel this way, and I'm telling you where to go do this research yourself and find this information. Um, so I've discussed, the linguistic neglect of deaf children in the United States. Part of this will explain the harm in making fun of us for signing or not signing. People Who Hear But Don't Listen by Leonie Holly is a great article for you to come write. It's published on my own website. For you to come write. I meant to say read. That's linguistic deprivation right there. Let's see. There's an example from Catherine Temp of hearing saviorism. And I honestly feel I can detect some hearing saviorism, in my opinion, based on, we can look at how similar these examples are from Catherine Temp, where she was basically saying that we deaf people shouldn't be concerned about autism, AUDISM, because we should be delighted that hearing people chose to devote themselves to us. And I find it's a way that hearing people justify their discrimination against us. It's this hearing saviorism ideology, and I feel like I felt that energy from um, Autumn Thomas, and you can kind of compare those examples there. And yeah, I also have another article in here about how neural systems support linguistic structure, linguistic experience, and symbolic communication in sign language and gesture. I do link to the memoir upon the formation of a deaf variety of the human race by Alexander Graham Bell. I also talk about how the deaf endure domestic violence more than hearing, as well as Alexander Graham Bell's role in oral education, contributing to the harm of making fun of us for signing. Understanding deaf culture. I think even cultural appreciation, not appropriation, is relevant here. Um, And yeah, autism, the definition is in here. Able-splaining, here-splaining, these all apply to Autumn Thomas. Um, Fake sign language, I haven't looked at Autumn Thomas's sign. I don't know if it's fake or not, but I still think cultural appropriation, exploitation, and tokenization is a thing used to discriminate against deaf people by Autumn. Um, so yeah, fucking. I also have another one about amplifying deaf voices in ASL education, reflections on the roles of hearing teachers, and I think that's good to consider in concept. An intro to deaf culture. I think that this should definitely be read. It discusses why deaf identity is so crucial to us and how it impacts us. There's also one on ethnography of deaf individuals. It's just evidence that deafness culture is a concept. I believe this one is. The development of deaf identity and ethnographic study. This one for deaf identity is extremely important to check out. Um, then there's the position statement on early cognitive and language development and education of deaf and hard of hearing children. This one also explains, gives more background information into how harmful the discrimination Autumn was putting out there. It is, yeah, fucking, and, let's see. In the research brief on experience of discrimination in the ADA, I do believe in this one, it shows data as to how we are not believed in regards to discrimination by oppressors. Um, and I just want to reiterate that discrimination against us is violence against us, and that is what, in my opinion, Autumn Thomas is perpetuating based on what we've seen. Um, so yeah, fucking um and I have just way more sources on here as well. And so in this one though, let's just see. Maybe we'll watch part of it. Okay, I'm gonna click through and get through some of the if I talk about in between 33 minutes and 42 minutes, I think I talk about performative activism, perpetuation and discrimination, here explaining, able explaining autism. Let's just check out some of that. You know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, I'm gonna just click through some of this real quick. Read again if you need to. Pause and read it again if you need to. Because this is part of why I feel like this really explained why I was so triggered. This is our death journey. You're not our voice. We're trying to find our own voice. So there is evidence, that members of the deaf ASL community, we consider ourselves a cultural and linguistic minority group. Some people don't believe me when I say we have deaf culture, but there is not specific techniques for doing field work in deaf communities, which goes back to when I said there's not much research on this. But I also feel like, like with this interpreter, like people will learn some things about deafness or sign language and then think, okay, they know everything. Like, wait a minute, only deaf people should be representatives or speaking on it because we are still oppressed by hearing people. So there's a few reasons why hearing people should teaching American Sign Language, even if it's one video, can be perceived as disrespectful to the deaf community. So assuming hearing people can teach ASL better than deaf people, reinforcing the notion of the deaf community as monolithic group. So whenever they were saying deaf people need access, not all deaf people sign. And we don't like it when you present us as a monolithic group where all deaf people need access. What we've been asking for is fucking caption your shit. So just caption your shit. And so then it's talking about ignoring the social and cultural aspects of ASL, and that's exactly what I saw in that video. There was no social and cultural aspects in deafness, and you cannot just teach any sign without like touching on that, because then you're teaching it out of context, and when that happens, harm is spread and normalized. And they did not teach any grammar, syntax, cultural nuances, nada. But they don't understand the cultural nuances because it's not their fucking culture. But um, the grammar and syntax, even, like, damn. Okay, and profiting off the deaf community. I honestly consider building any platform or form of clout a form of that and exploitation. It just really sits in the wrong way of privacy. So, in terms of cultural appropriation, it just keep in mind with definitions, it happens when members of a majority group take cultural elements from an oppressed group in an exploitative way. And so that is what I'm talking about here, and that includes our language, which includes deafness. And so we would have to not continue to be oppressed for the language for it to be okay. But in today's reality, while we still are, one day I hope it's not harmful. But we're not there yet, and that's the thing. And there is an accurate way, to show your own journey with sign language, but you just can't speak for us or teach it. Like, no. So those are the two things I have a problem with. And because it's seen as trendy, more and more hearing people are trying to use sign language or quote unquote teach it. And because they are doing that, they are able to get more interaction with the algorithm. The algorithm definitely favors hearing people more than deaf people. And so that's another issue that we've been having. And so, if you want to platform deaf people, collaborate with deaf people, it's a great way to get involved and show your deaf journey within the deaf community. That's a great way, to do online in order to guide other people on a deaf journey as well. But to act like you're the spokesperson for deafness or deaf access, or to do so in a way that kind of pats yourself on the back, I think is extremely harmful. It just, for me, reeks of saviorism and performative allyship, particularly when I feel like you're kind of weaponizing and utilizing two different forms of genocide in order to promote yourself. But that's my opinion. And I also felt like you here explained, and, it was just extremely uncomfortable. And so people have their native language or their L1, as well as the next language they learn, perhaps, which would be an L2. And it could take up to like 10 years, to become an expert signer. And so that's like what I'm saying, like, a lot of people who are novice signers have a misperception of signing proficiency between their native tongue and everything. And I feel like that's why perhaps they think they're qualified to teach. I don't think they have an accurate understanding of their own knowledge of these issues. And for me, that's really why it's important to just, uplift the voices of people who know about these things. Don't act like you know when you don't. And it's okay to not know what you don't do or don't know, but if it doesn't affect you and people are marginalized and you're part of the oppressive group in that scenario, it's better to just let people speak for themselves, repost what they're saying, duet what they're saying, share what they're saying, but don't build your own platform off of it. Don't act like you're the source material for it when you're not. And so it also, the issue with normalizing the idea of you as a hearing person teaching online is it would set precedence or give credence to the idea of other people thinking it's okay for them to do it. And we're considered gatekeeping for asking you just to not appropriate a culture and teach correctly. You know what I'm saying? Because it's our communication tool that we need. You have spoken language. You can still hear. I can't. And so it's a problem. So you need to learn from deaf people only. Because hearing people, generalizing, they don't know. So, my understanding also is I put a lot of time into trying to, um, educate the people in the comment section, but I just kind of feel like she was siding with people who were discriminating against me, which I felt like is them also liking and perpetuating discrimination and not enacting a safe space for deaf people. And I felt like they were here explaining against me, and they told me and here's playing, by the way, is when you act like you know more than a deaf person on anything, really, but on particularly on deaf issues. Um, Tip forms, like assuming that the deaf person has not understood, not trusting the deaf experience, minimizing deaf knowledge, believing that you're able to understand better, or claiming to have sufficient knowledge to voice your opinion on matters specific to the deaf community, such as sign language. Alright, so there's a flowchart posted by CB Linguistic Services on Am I Here Explaining? I highly recommend, go look at that flowchart. It's a great thing to keep in mind to know whether or not what you're saying is appropriate. So, able explaining is when a non-disabled person condescendingly explains disability, and so able explaining, here explaining is a form of able explaining, specific to the deaf community. And it's a form of autism. And autism is bias or discrimination against people who can't hear, have difficulty of hearing, or prejudice or hostility against them. And I feel a hearing person trying to teach sign language is biased because you're not deaf. So anything you teach is your own bias about us. It's not an accurate representation because you can't accurately represent something you don't know or have a lived experience about, because you don't have lived experience as a deaf person. So so this is about something else, but I really think this live stream, so we only watched this part 5 of this just now. I highly recommend you go watch the rest of this live stream. It's totally worth it in my opinion. So a lot of the sources for everything that I've said previously can be found here, and if not there, it can be found in this other live stream. I did a 7-hour, 10-minute live stream to sum up 10 years of research on deafness. I don't even think I put all of the links for everything I've looked up in here, but I put in a lot of links for almost everything I think I looked up in here. I've got over 170 sources in here for everything I know about deafness, including those 60 of the sources are from that previous video we just watched. So I have all of those sources and even more, particularly as it pertains to indigenous sign language as well. And so, yeah, I've got so much material here, um, particularly when it comes to fact and opinion, and Darvo, and how discrimination against deaf upholds white supremacy, um, the debate over language deprivation in deaf children, um, and how all of this explains even further how harmful all of the discrimination, not only that we face generally is, but also it gives more context to what specifically Adam Thomas did wrong. Because the short answer is me telling you simple is that it's just harmful discrimination. If you want to know why, you really got to go through all of this material to fully understand it. If that's not enough for you if you don't know these definitions, if that's the issue. And so yeah. Um, I highly, highly recommend checking out both of these videos. They're about 2 different issues in the deaf community and 2 different scenarios where I felt there was discrimination to address as well. So you can see 2 other scenarios just like this. In this one, because I didn't show their names, I didn't show screenshots on this experience, though I do have them. But yeah, I highly recommend checking this out. And it's about the concept of diagnosis versus identity, deaf versus disabled, ableism disguised as pride, and research regarding deaf identity, basically. But I think it's all highly, highly relevant. So yeah, fucking. And then I think also this is a really good follow-up. The last live stream I did was called Perceiving in the Evening, Deaf People Are Overhearing Discriminating Against Us, Tone Deaf Talk. And I was looking at this Amy Robinson segment that I experienced, and I really feel like it's a good comparison when you consider the reflection of how hearing people uphold culture of discrimination against deaf. I think this is another example where it's kind of similar but different to what Autumn Thomas did. So Autumn Thomas was very blatantly discriminatory. And Amy Robinson is in some ways, but then in another way, like they, you know what? They're very similar actually. So, the only difference is Amy Robinson isn't an interpreter or connected to the deaf community, but the similarities are they both discriminate against deaf people, in my opinion, and then the way they respond is not to take accountability, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, and then I also do a tone deaf and hear explaining segment, and I go even more into uh, ableist terminology here, and I think that's something to consider. And then I do a replay in this segment, or we go considering relating scenarios segment. I do a replay on prior content published on concepts of here explaining and ableism against deaf people. And I really do think that looking at these other similar scenarios gives you insight also into what we face as deaf people. And I'm also remembering I meant to link some content. I think I meant to prep to show some content, I meant to say, regarding my experience with music. But I'm just gonna have to go link some videos that I've put on YouTube at the end of this. Um, Whenever I might not do my timestamps tonight, I might have to do those tomorrow because it's already getting kind of late. But I will get those timestamps done. If not tonight, I might do them tonight, but I'll probably do them tomorrow if I don't get them done tonight. And then I will, um, as I do that, try to remember and put in any additional source material in either the description or comments, depending on where it fits. But yeah, so this one is all about the normalization and perpetuation of discrimination against deaf people in society, and I think it's just extremely relevant. And I also link to material, relevant material here, and I highly recommend you guys go check this shit out as well. I do have a personal map. I share it every now and then in my content. But it's just like a personal map of fake interpreters, Terps with limited signing skills, Terps with questionable ethics, or cloud signers who have taught ASL online by colonized U.S. state. And so from here, I want to move into the problematic interpreter issue that deaf experience. And so I've discussed previously how deaf people often aren't believed when it comes to discrimination, and in most cases, like I think it's like 26% of our cases actually get perceived as with merit under the law. 76% are typically dismissed or we lose them when it comes to discrimination. Um, and so, yeah, I have this map just for me to kind of keep track of some of the more problematic interpreters. And here is why I have the people labeled on here that I do. So the Murnian 83, we watched part 5 of that live stream. I linked that live stream, that video. I linked that video in the description of this live stream. I highly recommend you go watch that and you can see. But it's because in my opinion, she was teaching sign language incorrectly, and she was doing so in an exploitative and harmful way. And she was arguing with me about deaf issues. So yeah, fucking Autumn Thomas. This live stream's all about Autumn Thomas. I did add Autumn to this map based on the comments that were left to Mumi really did not sit right with me. And I figure we could just go look over who else I have on the map and why at this time. So we have Sally McKinney, 2023. A bunch of creators here. You'll see like ASL Susie Q called um, them out. I think Regina McAleer did. Um, Jenny Fike Dennis did. Basically, Sally McKinney keeps teaching ASL incorrectly and is not listening to people um, who are correcting her. So, yeah, fucking, you can Google Sally and find why. Um, in regards to Heather Mushaw, Trump presidency DC, Google her with controversies. She's just kind of known for being for translating and working with far right people in right wing ties, and a lot of deaf people don't feel comfortable with the ethics of the value alignment of some of the politicians she supported, um, because they have done things that are harmful to us and our human rights, of course. So when it comes to the Governor Cuomo's interpreter on SA allegations, name unknown. So I just want to take a moment here. So, and this is an interpreter for uh, sign language allegations. If you don't know sign language, I don't have the mental capacity to translate the sign for you right now. I'm just going to tell you what he signs is not what is being said and is extremely inappropriate. It's not only inaccurate, it's not only causing harm to accuracy for deaf translation, it's extremely inappropriate to what the fuck um, he's saying and what the fuck the scenario is. So this dude right here that's speaking is getting accused of sexual assault, and look what the fuck this happens. Let me show you.
I acted in a way that made people feel uncomfortable and deeply apologize for it. I never taught.
So for hearing people, for example of how incorrect this is, instead of saying I deeply apologize for it, he signed I'm sad for it or I cry for it.
Touched anyone inappropriately.
Did y'all catch that? I feel really uncomfortable explaining what just happened, but I feel I must in case anyone can't see. He held his fingers in a V shape, put his fingers to his mouth, and stuck out his tongue. He slipped his tongue in and out in between his fingers. Whenever Governor Cuomo is talking about apologizing for sexually assaulting women, but he's actually claiming he didn't. He's saying, I deeply apologize for it. I never touched anyone. So then what did you apologize for if you didn't do it when you're talking about the sexual assault? What? So you can see how hypocritical this is. And then when you look at how disrespectful what he signs is in relation to that, it's so disrespectful to women. It's so disrespectful to the deaf community. It's what the fuck. So that's linked. So you can see the types of interpreters that we deal with that I consider Autumn Rose. Did I call her Autumn Rose? That'd be a cool name. Autumn Thomas. God damn it, I just misgendered them. Fuck, shit, I'm so sorry. I've done that so much. That really speaks to something wrong with me. That is, no, it really does. I don't like that. I'm doing that. Autumn Thomas is they, them. Why do I keep calling Autumn her? Why do I do that? I don't know why I'm doing that. I don't like that about me. I'm sorry. Wow, I know it's because of colonial um, assimilation, but that doesn't excuse it. Like, I'm trying to figure out why the fuck I can't make myself stop. Perhaps I could blame like that I think I'm crashing mentally, but I still doesn't think that make it right. I don't know. Okay, so with someone else on the map we have here is Brandon Kazan Maddox. He was known for taking a singing role after interpreting for a deaf after a signing. I think that this is supposed to be signing, and I put singing. It's supposed to be signing. That's a typo, in my opinion. I think. Um. So yeah, and there's a change.org petition about it. And you can check that out. So fucking this article is ableist. It says hearing impaired people. That's an ableist term. We just go by deaf. So yeah, this is about interpreter Derlin Roberts of Florida. Derlin Roberts is on the map due to fake interpretation, and I have the link to that here. Um, ASL with Lola from Alabama didn't is not qualified to interpret, can't sign for shit, tried to sign at a game. And is still trying to teach ASL online. So a lot of people call Lola off a lot. Um, and then I got even more. Fucking just a couple of more examples here. Um, Marshall Green is on this because oopsie, my bad, wrong window. Marshall Green is on here because also poor interpretation, and this time during Hurricane Irma. So Derlin Roberts, I believe, misinterpreted during about a killer, um, and then this one is about a hurricane. So yeah, fucking that's real dangerous. And then the other people on my map, Anthony Eagle Jr., fucking who else did I put on here? Scott Behrens, and I think there was one more person. Um, where are you at? And where are you at? And where are you at? Kat Jarrett. They all got on here for being called out in this Washington Post article regarding fake sign language spreading on TikTok and deaf people being worried about it. So yeah, all of them are from that article, and that fully account. Oh, and oh fuck, I forgot to pull up a source on Keith Wan, but I guess okay, Keith Wan is known for being racist because he tried to sue black deaf people for wanting a black interpreter. Um, so yeah, fucking basically, black deaf people wanted a black deaf people wanted a black interpreter, and Keith Wan, who is white, and a coda, tried to sue the black deaf people for racism. Yeah, yeah. So fucking those are the this is the type of people that get put on this map. I'm not out here being like, I don't like interpreters. I love interpreters. I'm friends with interpreters. I know interpreters. It's the specific type of people who abuse their power that I feel just, we just need to keep track of them. Just be aware, be careful, and be conscious of whether or not you feel comfortable or safe with them around you. That's all. That's all. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that concludes our trauma from my part portion. I know it's been like a 2 hour 42-minute live so far. This concludes the deaf issues. And from here, I want to segue now into mentally checking out as we wind down on this live stream with some service industry concepts and considering human rights for workers' rights, right? And I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want to wrap it up. I do have the links to these posts linked in the description of this video. I am shocked that the original post has been up as long as it has. So the fact that they haven't done a dirty delete yet is like either alarming or ballsy. Maybe both. I don't know. But fucking bitchy waiter fucking posted a repost from Tater Saladz. And that is how I found out about this situation. So now we're gonna check out Tater Salad's post first, and then we'll come check out the bitchy waiter commentary. So Tater Saladz posted a post. It looks like two. I'm assuming these are like two chicken salads. Those look pretty good. With it looks like perhaps like cucumbers. Like what we got: grapes, cheese. Am I wrong? What the fuck is that? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, They say, and for them to call this accountability post is just like so gaslighting. You know what I'm saying? It reminds me of the Autumn Thomas situation. To be honest, I know I said we were going to talk about that. I am going to conclude. I'm going to summarize that in the conclusion, though. But so the Tater Saladz, they said accountability post while trying to extend grace and giving people the benefit of the doubt. We're sometimes left holding the bag. Well, in this case, holding the salad. We started taking payments via phone due to many no-shows. However, we sometimes allow it. Well, it happened once again, and when we reached out, we were told they didn't want it. I do understand that happens in business, and sometimes that's the way it goes. However, whenever grace is extended to such customers and they misuse it, whoever took the order must pay for it due to the no-show. When small business owners make a mistake, customers are quick to put us on blast, and usually I just suck it up, but no. But this time, because of the blatant, disrespectful way of her response. So, Alexis, it was not me, I swear to God. You know who you are. And yes, my front end cashier will have to pay for this, but you definitely will lose more. Advance payment only, shaking my head. For any business to make a cashier pay for someone leaving on their check is inhumane and oppressive, in my opinion. It speaks to an extremely toxic work environment and someone who doesn't care about their employees. That should be on you. That should be a labor cost. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so the comments on here are by most relevant. One person says, "What time do y'all close?" Someone said, "Not soon enough considering what they're doing to their employees." Um, Apparently they're going to close in a few days permanently is what people keep saying. um People are saying this is illegal. um and someone's saying in some states like theirs it might not be illegal. In Louisiana, I think that, I'm not sure, I did not look up the law. I know for a fact we are at will state. If I remember correctly, I think doing this is illegal, but then because we're a work at will state, they'll still just fire you anyway and no one cares. um So someone was saying, "I'll pay for it. Can I come get them? I'll even call and pay now. They look so good." Someone said, "Did they taste like wage theft and shitty boss?" Another person said, "Why would you support a business that steals from its employees?" Someone keeps putting Department of Labor complaints, but for that to be effective, it can only be from the people who work there. Otherwise, from random people, it's harassment. I understand. I wanted to, like, wanting to, when you see something, wanting to do something about it and submit those complaints. If you have a personal contact with a person, maybe sometimes they'll not perceive it as harassment, but for whatever reason, they just don't care. I personally do think that the public should be allowed to submit complaints to about things like that, but it gets misused. I don't know. Oops. Um, Someone said it's always that one person. Another person said, yeah, the owner. And someone else said it's illegal. There are many people telling them this, not just this one. People keep saying, "Come in, I'll tip the cashier." Someone said owner probably steals their tips also. Um, Someone said, "I hope with the highest of hopes the cashier quit this shithole." Um, Someone else said, "Don't go to this business. Doesn't deserve any customers when they steal from their employees." Someone else said, "Don't give them their money. They're breaking the law." Um, this one, uh, I don't like that I said you to the person, but I just said you to this idea of the person saying, that it's always that one bad apple. Um, and then someone said, in this case, the owner is the bad apple for committing wage theft against the employee. Someone else said the owner employer is the bad apple. Toss it out. Yep. And someone else said, like the fucking owner. Someone else said people need to understand reciprocity. Oh, I just burped. And it got 128 laugh reactions. I think I'm gonna do a grilled cheese, y'all. I'm kind of hungry. I think I want a grilled cheese. Are you about to snack on something? I'm a snack. I'm gonna get a grilled cheese, dude. I got pepper jack. Um, so yeah, fucking. Now on to the bitchy waiter commentary. Bitchy waiter was saying this is not okay. If a customer orders something on the phone and then doesn't show up for it, it's not legal to make the employee who took the order to pay for it. Why don't you just make the customer pay for it in advance, Tater Saladz? If you keep doing this, your employees will eventually quit or just stop answering the phone. Do better. Now, apparently that is the policy and it just didn't happen that one time, but I still think even if that happens, part of being a business is accounting for that. You know what I'm saying? If they had a repeated behavior of doing it all the time, then maybe I would understand if it was like every single shift it was happening several times, like per depending on the volume of order, you know what I'm saying? Like then I would be like, okay, yeah, you gotta pay for it sometimes. But then like every now and then it's like, come on, man, Jesus Christ. Um, and that would be if it's excessive, then I would think perhaps even if maybe they shouldn't have to pay, maybe you would let them go if they can't like if they have an issue of something like that. But that would be with something that you wouldn't just do immediately. Like that would be something where there's been like a 3 month period of trying to fix this. In my opinion. Everybody's basically saying it's illegal. Um, People are saying they would never patronize this establishment for this reason, and they should be ashamed of themselves, and that it's unethical. Um, Other people are saying that their work does this, and sometimes they usually try to get a payment in advance, but sometimes say they want to come pay cash. And sometimes they don't have time to take a payment when they got all these tables waiting for them too. Um, and everybody's saying it is against federal law to be charged by the employee for no-shows on to-go walkouts and skip checks. People are saying, call the labor board, get a new job, all sorts of shit. You know what I'm saying? So the public is not happy. Um, and I'm just shocked that they didn't do a dirty delete. Let me go check that. It's still up, right? Yeah, no, that's still up. Refreshing it, still up. So shocked they did not do a dirty delete. My message might auto pop up, so I exited out. But yeah, fucking this one person posted a meme and it says, yeah, posting our illegal business practice is the best idea we've ever had. I think that's pretty funny. Um, and oh man, they really are like, yeah, it's not the best move. So yeah, everybody's talking about they're getting roasted. People are tagging the labor board. And like they can't believe they didn't delete this. So yeah, the for me, I'm like, I literally saw that and I couldn't decide. I'm like, is this rage bait in order to fucking is this I was literally thinking this has to be rage bait, right? To get engagement because it's so fucked up that like I was having a hard time processing or believing that it was like real. It was like this has to be rage bait. Was what I was thinking for a good bit there, but like the way they've left it up, type of comments on there, I don't know. Some the way that starting to believe perhaps that is their policy and that is what's happening. That's pretty fucked up in my opinion. That's unethical. So yeah, from here on out, we can recap, re-summarize this entire fucking long ass live stream. It has been a long one. Um, Basically, just to recap everything that happened, we looked at an altercation between Autumn Thomas and Mumi Starr. We discussed why I feel this is discrimination against deaf people. And then we compared this situation to previous scenarios of deaf discrimination using Alexander Graham Bell as a base point of comparison there. And then we also took a look at a couple of other pieces of content that I've done that shows you where the sources are you can find to understand why I said everything that I have said in this video. Um, Fucking, and then we finished with this before then we before we finished, we looked at my fake sign language interpreter map, um, fake, problematic, or unethical interpreter map that I have. And I discussed my reasons, did I discuss my reasons for adding Autumn Thomas to that? I feel like this whole live stream is the reason. Like, I feel like that's what that first segment was. I added Autumn Thomas to that because of feeling concerned with the level of discrimination and the usage of their role as an interpreter to do so. I felt that it was just important for people to be aware of this type of ideology from someone who could be potentially in charge of their access in society. So that's why. And so then I also went over every other interpreter I had on that map or hearing person. And I discussed why every person was on that map. And then we closed out with a somewhat of a palate cleanser to take my mind off of it for a minute. The Tater Saladz situation where they tried to make an employee pay for um, somebody walking out food without paying for it, and they try to make their employee. I think they did make their employee pay for it. They made their employees pay for it allegedly, according to them on their own post, if that's the case. So that's pretty harmful. Um, fucking. So yeah, fucking. And we're here now. And I really just kind of want to reflect back again on the Autumn Rose. Like, why do I keep wanting to say Autumn Rose? Is there an Autumn Rose out there? Like, is that an influencer that I'm confusing this Autumn Thomas with? Why do I keep saying that? Is that somebody else? Anyway, Autumn Thomas fucking I'm concerned with the lack of accountability on their part and the immediate hatred that they had towards Mumi on deaf issues for discussing deaf issues. I'm concerned with what I perceive as sea lioning in regards to how they're trying to perpetuate discrimination under the concept of wanting to understand deafness, but they don't have a lived experience on deafness. So they're never gonna understand it because they don't live it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't understand a life you don't live. You can only support us. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to highlight like autonomy. Why the issue here ties back to deaf autonomy, because when hearing people are trying to think they have like an equivalent opinion or role on as deaf people on deaf issues, it is a hearing person negating deaf autonomy. The whole concept of autonomy is that we don't speak for each other. So like, I'm part native, right? In native community, it's very much frowned upon to try and on one level we can speak to collective indigenous issues regarding how we've all been harmed through things like indigenous erasure and genocide. But on another level, one person's family and one person's heritage and one person's tribe has a totally different lived experience than another tribe. And it's not, we don't speak on each other's histories typically because it's inappropriate in that way to speak over lived experiences we don't have, right? Um, and so it's kind of like, if my mom's side of the family were to try and speak over me about my dad's side of the family, I'd consider that xenophobia, anti-indigenous, because they have no lived experience on any type of native ancestry, right? Versus that's kind of, and I feel like we can kind of look at that with like the deaf issue here. Like, the hearing people don't have any lived experience on what it's like to live as a deaf person. So for a hearing person, and that kind of connects it to the server wrongly punished thing, like where it ties into examples of being unethical and oppression. When you abuse your power over somebody else and then kind of try to punish them, in my opinion, when like the server having to pay for the food, that's punishment, in my opinion. Um, Autumn trying to say that Autumn was going to humble Mumi Starr and calling Mumi Starr desperate. No, not desperate, pathetic. Autumn called Mumi Starr pathetic. Autumn did not say desperate. Let's get it. I'm getting it right. I'm going to quote it right, just as he said. That was me. That was the, when your mouth is on a roll. Doing these long ass live streams is difficult for me. Um, but yeah, fucking that situation really stood out to me. Mm. As well as the saying that a deaf person's sign sucks. Mm. And then trying to say that you're the real interpreter when talking to a deaf person, saying that how the deaf person wants to be an interpreter. Mm. No. All of that is extremely harmful because hearing people are not as qualified as deaf people to interpret. Because deaf people, we have the shared common experience on deaf issues to better provide each other access because we understand what it's like to be deaf. And I think the fact that you're missing that um, is why you feel the need to attack a deaf person for advocating on deaf human rights. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, based on what I saw. And I don't know what happened in the other conversation they had. I didn't speak to that. No commentary about that. Only to except to say I think it's relevant in terms of potentially why Autumn Thomas even left the comments Autumn Thomas left to begin with. And I can understand how when someone faces discrimination, you have or oppression, you can have a breaking point where like we as human beings all have anger and breaking points, right? When we are wronged. And I understand that. So there are certain times where I still don't think it like justifies or excuses discrimination, but like for example, when two people are doing lateral violence against each other and both discriminating against each other, I don't agree with either of them, but if one person's dealing with a bunch of discrimination from another person, I do kind of see why a person would basically can get to a point where they break. I do see how the mind does that because when you study reactive abuse, like dealing with a certain level of discrimination and oppression is abuse. And when you deal with a certain amount of abuse, you're gonna lash back out eventually, or you may not, but you can. It is a common response. Not everybody does that, but we're all different. And so I think whenever someone discriminates against somebody, whether or not you mean it, to then act like that person has no reason to vent about it is extremely harmful. It's kind of expecting them to subjugate, to be submissive to the reality you want to impose on them instead of letting them have autonomy. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna have to reflect more on all of this as well. Cause I just feel like I'm like still processing to where now it's becoming word vomit instead of a cohesive thought because I am still processing this situation. I just found out about it. You know what I'm saying? Like before I was doing this live stream, I had found out about it like not long before. So yeah, fucking I'm still processing and it's triggering for me and traumatic for me because watching a hearing person use their proximity to deafness to discriminate against us this way, particularly someone I care about, it triggers a lot of shit because it triggers every single like thing almost that I've gone through. And that's what you need to recognize when you're asking deaf people about our trauma. You're then, for many of us, you're now triggering somatic flashbacks. You're asking us to be triggered and not express our trauma to you, but then make you feel like you're an ally, but not inform you of the discrimination you're doing. Like, what? I don't understand. It's extremely contradictory. It's a mind fuck. And because I feel like it's a mind fuck, I feel like this plane is crashing, of course. So yeah, I might, if I feel like I process this in a better cohesive way in which I could more coherently summarize this, I might do an attempt at another addressing of this situation. Or if I further process some things that I wish I said, I might do another live stream to address this. So but yeah, I might just leave it as it is. Also, if I look back on it and I'm just like, you know what, I said enough, because I have said a lot. Because part of me is like, I don't know if I've said too much because I'm processing as I'm saying live. And part of me is like, I don't know if I've said enough because I have not processed anything before doing the live. So yeah, that's where I am right now. So I guess that is a good time to end this fucking bitch. The links for everything linked in the description of this video. Um, there's stuff that I said that wanted to talk about that I wanted to link that I didn't link yet. I'll try to get to that whenever I can go do the timestamps on this video. So yeah, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. Autumn Thomas, if you watch this, message to you. If you've watched this and you made it this far, for accountability, in my opinion, you need to take accountability with Mumi Starr, make things right with Mumi Starr. You need to address every single deaf person you argued with about Mumi Starr. You need to apologize to all deaf people in general for saying the things you said. I really hope you need to be paying a deaf person to be teaching you and educating you. I really hope you get yourself a deaf mentor. Go pay for a deaf mentor to educate you on anti-deafness and anti-discrimination. Um, those are some of the things that I think Autumn can do to decolonize in terms of anti-deafness. If Autumn ever does publicly do these things, and I'm like, you know what? I think Autumn turned a new leaf. I might do another live stream to show how Autumn Thomas can be an example of accountability, right? That would be a great thing to do if Autumn actually did so, but I don't know if that happened or not. But if that did happen, that would be a cool thing to cover. Let me show an example of when a hearing person realizes how bad they fucked up but tries their hardest to make it right. Let me show that, right? I would love to do that. So alright, I'm really gonna end this bitch for now because I want a fucking grilled cheese sandwich. I got pepper jack. Good night, y'all. I appreciate you. Mumi, you are amazing. Everybody that supports Mumi, you are amazing. I'm over here like I support Mumi like I'm a star. Star, star, star. So yeah, I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I really much, very much value your time. So it really means a lot to me, for anybody that's watched this whole thing, it really means a lot to me. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.